everybody, my name is Jake. This is Sunday Service. That was my cat. I'm a former Jehovah's Witness, current cat wrangler, and hair being weird kind of person. And this is a show where I check in on my old cult with my chat. It's just kind of a live hangout dealio. And today we've got a ton of stuff to talk about. How's everybody doing this morning? Kind of filtering in here. I, as per usual, was editing up until the point where the show started, and the unfortunate result of that is that I didn't have time to render the bumper that I made for drinking water, which has been a constant recurring theme on the show. So that's not really that important. But before we get into the actually important stuff, I wanted to get into channel business, which we always have to get out of the way up top. And let's see. I think this is the bumper for that.
Oh, happy day. All worldly complaining about YouTube.
Yes. Okay. Very good. So, please don't try to do a Danish accent unless you study it. I would never. No. Boy, my hair is really distracting me, I have to say. Yikes. Try to not look at my head during the stream. I don't think that'll be too much to ask. I'm pulling up the YouTube channel because I did a poll and I wanted to talk about the results of it. Talking a lot about polls these days, you know. And my channel, you know, people say don't trust the polls, but I think we can trust this one. That's what I'm going to say. I have no idea what the fuck I'm saying. So sorry. I'm just wasting time. All right. So I asked whether or not I should bleep F-bombs on the channel. Now, I can't bleep myself live. I should probably clarify. So the F-bombs will probably remain on the streams. But pause for water. Polls, which of course Jesus died on a pole, famously, according to Jehovah's Witnesses. So I thought this was really interesting. Most people said no, don't bother, but I found the comments really useful. First of all, Bones and Bloom, Jenny said, for live streams and silly videos, no. For more serious video essays that P and Q might watch, yes. And I agree with that. I tend to try and do that. But I think I've gotten a little sloppy in the last few main channel uploads have been more cursy. You know, I asked it because even when I was a witness, I cursed a lot. It was always my habit, and I like cursing. I don't know. They're sentence enhancers. I don't see anything wrong with it. And I don't know. I don't really understand why people don't like it. But a lot of people pointed out that they have kids and they can't listen to the streams with kids, or not, maybe like the streams and the videos if I start cursing. And I hadn't thought about that, you know? I just hadn't really thought about that. So, like this person said, I don't usually mind, but I do listen a lot while driving and have little ones in the car, and I can't listen to anything with cuss words. So I just tend to listen to channels with the least amount of cuss words. So that's, true. Some people are like, you know, if you're trying to attract Jehovah's Witnesses, don't do it, which I would agree with, but I usually, you know, for the most part, the channel is aimed at people who are, like, already deconstructing or questioning. I tend to think if you're going to not listen to something because of a curse word, I don't know if you're really approaching that thing in all seriousness. But I wanted to apologize. I don't think I have an apology drop, but somebody said, yeah, I think it's this person I need to apologize for. They said, depends on the audience you're aiming for. And I said, adults. Now I meant this to be just jokey, but I got the eye roll emoji and I felt bad. That sounded really sarcastic and mean. So sorry to Ma 7583. All right, good. I got that off my chest. Now, we can get to important things. Headphones exist, you say. Is the super chat off? Better not be. Now, I'll say this. If you're watching on the Sunday service channel itself, then you probably... It doesn't qualify for monetization yet for some reason. I think I have to get more subscribers on there. So, I'm glad you brought that up. Because I need to hype this up a little bit, that we're doing away with the live streams on the Alt-Worldly channel. I'm still going to do this every Sunday, but I need to move them entirely off of the main channel, because it kind of hurts the algorithm in some way to make short videos like I normally do, and then also have these 3-hour streams. It confuses our computer overlords that I serve for a living. So, next week, we're going to have a really cool stream with XJW Caleb. We're going to do a big stream, fun stream. Some people are saying the best stream about the JW iceberg. We're going to go down a real rabbit hole. Danny's worked up a really cool iceberg graphic. I promise it's going to be good. Oh, thank you. Thank you for compliments regarding my hand's tattoo. Part of the reason I do live streams is for compliments, quite frankly. I would never use such harsh words or gestures on YouTube. Wink, wink. Yeah, Ron Pimo. That's a man who has never cursed or raised any fingers in anger in his life. Okay, low energy so far. I'm going to talk about my mental state right now. I have kind of taken a break from main uploads to the channel so I can focus on writing and editing stuff for a new channel that won't have anything to do with Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm not going to stop doing this channel. I'm also going to be doing other stuff in the hopes of, making money, basically. And just trying to expand and do the kind of stuff that I wanted to do when I was a witness, but wasn't allowed to. And so I've been having a lot of fun doing that. I really haven't been engaging with XJW stuff at all, other than Reddit. But this morning, I watched the new governing body update, and it deals with blood, so that was triggering. And so I'm a little, hopped up a little bit. So I'll give a warning before we get to that section. But yeah, I'm in kind of a weird mood, because it had been a while since I'd really engaged with JW stuff. I mean, I guess just a week, but I don't know. It was a nice week. Apparently my brain needed that week and wasn't ready for the terror of bearded Gage Fleegle, which is pretty amazing. Now, before we get to that, though, we're going to, first of all, say a big thank you to Frank Claro. Hey there, appreciate all the hard work you put into content. Appreciate you. Thanks so much. And boy, oh boy, if you have ever thought about donating to the channel, this would be a particularly good time to do it, just for general life reasons. So I appreciate it. Now, let's get into the main subject at hand, or at least the first of several subjects at hand. There has been a lot of reporting about Jehovah's Witnesses in Denmark. And to be honest, I really haven't followed this at all. I have no idea why this is happening. So I could definitely use some context if chat wants to fill me in. But we're just going to kind of go through these posts that I've been seeing. Extra blooded. I don't know. Right. Okay. So this is why people were talking about doing Dutch accents, I suppose. No, definitely not. I truly, other than Gold Member from the third Austin Powers movie, I don't even think I could approximate a Dutch accent. Apparently that one guy, Herm Anus von Selm, is Dutch, I think somebody said. So that guy's accent might be Dutch. Have our Denmark residents sound off in comments. Okay, Scandinavia is keeping up the good work. So this publication, this is an English translation, it's kind of like the Google Translate thing, I think. Expert on Jehovah's Witnesses. They should not be a recognized religious community. A leading expert in church and religious law believes that internal court in Jehovah's Witnesses should lead to the removal of the movement's title as a recognized religious community. So this is not an exact translation. I wonder if it means something closer to like internal judicial system or something like that. Okay. Let's just read this through. I'm assuming that this is the actual translation. I'm going to see if I can open it in another tab and just translate it myself. So we can read it directly on, hey. All right. Are we seeing this? Yes. So, I don't know anything about this publication. I guess take all this with a grain of salt, but it looks like a pretty credible news outlet. I mean, they got some video, so that's something. It's not nothing. Okay. God, look at the sheer overwhelming amount of ads and pop-ups. Like, the internet is unusable these days. Good Lord. I don't know if this is part of the article or not, or if this is connected to the video, but it says, this really leads me to say with a clear voice that this is a case that should be assessed in relation to the right to revoke the recognition of Jehovah's Witnesses as a religious community. Whew, that was a mouthful. Do we have a special guest who wants to hop in?
Well, I was just gonna tell you that I made pizza.
Oh my God, a special guest who sometimes likes to visit, and I'm sorry that we're doing this right at the beginning of the Denmark segment. I'll timestamp this, but please welcome my lovely wife, Christina. Hello. Hello, darling.
Hello.
You were doing social work things this morning.
I had to go in and do some assessments.
Yes.
On individuals.
How's school going?
Exhaustingly.
Yeah. It's pretty exhausting here.
I literally had a migraine for like the last 3 days, and it's
awful.
Probably mostly due to like school and work.
Yeah.
And my internship. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But that's why you guys haven't seen me on here much.
Yeah, true.
It's because school started back, and it's my last semester before I get my AA, my associate's degree.
Uh-huh.
And then transfer to university to get my bachelor's and my master's.
Uni?
How
lovely. Love it. That's great.
Yeah.
Have you read anything about this Denmark stuff?
I just saw like a little bit of it on social media, and that Denmark is starting to look further into the witnesses.
Yeah.
And the amount of money they're swimming in.
Yeah. Okay. So that thing I read earlier, this is a case that should be assessed in relation to the right to revoke the recognition of Jehovah's Witnesses as a religious community. This is the call from one of the country's leading experts in church and religious law, Professor Lisbeth Christofferson.
That sounds like a character from Girl with Dragon Tattoo.
I was thinking the same thing. Lisbeth. So, the announcement comes after this publication has described how the Jehovah's Witness internal court works. Okay, does not notify authorities. In this connection, it has emerged that in an edition of the Watchtower from 2019, it is written that the elders will inform parents and victims of sexual abuse that they have the rights to contact the authorities. The word right bites the church and the religious law expert in particular in what? This is broken up in a very confusing way. What they say here in the Watchtower is that they do not themselves report criminal matters where they have a duty to report. Instead, they say parents can do it. The parents can therefore be allowed if they think it is necessary.
Wait, so they're saying that the church isn't mandated, but parents can be, like...
They're just summarizing Watchtower's position, which
right.
is that parents have the right, like an absolute right to call the authorities.
A father's right?
A father's right. Stay tuned for some Lost content. Oh my God.
I'm sorry, I'm derailing
No.
your point.
We usually stay pretty focused here on the Sunday service stream, so...
Yeah, your ADHD doesn't really
No.
affect any of that, right?
No, this is smooth sailing. In the shovel the coal ships that we learn about sometimes. But no, okay, so they're just summarizing that, yeah, they say that parents have a right to do it, but that creates all sorts of problems because the parent could be allowed to not do it, and what if the parent's one of the abusers, blah, blah. Elizabeth Christopherson believes that this is in clear violation of the notification obligation in relation to children, which is part of the Danish law. And in order to be a recognized religious community, as Jehovah's Witnesses are, it is a requirement that you follow Danish legislation. Oh, okay. So they're saying that Jehovah's Witnesses are not following the mandatory reporting laws.
Right, they're supposed to be mandated reporters with Danish law in mind, and they're not doing that. They're leaving it up to the parents to report any sexual abuse.
Right.
But I guarantee you the parents are going to be the last people to know.
Yeah. Is that washer and dryer coming through on Mike? I think it usually doesn't, but I just wanted to check because it does seem extra loud. So let us know in chat. Oh, no. No. Don't apologize.
I had to clean clothes. It's a really obnoxious part of life.
Jehovah's Vidner on that website to find all their recent articles. Okay.
Interesting.
All right. Well, this is interesting. So, refuses to break the law. This has not been possible. Oh, okay. Well, so this is interesting. We know why they don't meet the requirements. Extra Bledet, which again, somebody help me out with the pronunciation if you know it, has tried to get an interview with Jehovah's Witnesses. This has not been possible, but instead they write in an email that Jehovah's Witnesses have great respect for and cooperate willingly with the authorities. Just as they write that the elders always comply with legal requirements to report criminal matters. Elizabeth Christopherson believes that explanation requires concrete documentation. I have never heard of the elders who have knowledge of criminal matters reporting it to the Danish authorities themselves. If they do, they must provide documentation that it actually happens. Okay, so that...
Secret Elders book.
Secret Elders book.
I just have to say really quick.
Yeah.
Extra is... So my mom's maiden name is Extrand.
That's true. Yeah.
So I just...
So now you can hack into her bank account.
Not at all. I just find it interesting to see the Danish roots of the word.
My mother's maiden name is Bladet. Isn't that weird?
That is so weird. Yeah. Did our mothers publish this?
Let's not explore this further. I'm realizing now I made a huge mistake. How do we search on this? Okay. Jehovah's Vidner.
Ooh.
Oh, good. Ah! 2009, 2016.
I'm sure there's a way to translate the page.
Good lord. Yeah, why isn't it translating the page? Okay, I'm going to go back to what I had planned on doing, which was to pull the articles off of Reddit. Because that didn't work.
And on that note, I'm going to go work on some stats homework, because I have a test tomorrow. So.
Oh my god! All right. You got this, homie.
Luck.
You got this, homie.
Just keep singing that. And
you got this, homie.
Okay, have fun with your investigation.
My little internet things.
Internet things.
My little videos.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, what a lovely treat. Speaking of the Danish, how about those Sara Lee apple and cheese Danishes the conventions used to have? People are so weird about that. They're just generic Danishes that you can get in any hospital cafeteria.
They're so good.
They are good, but that's just... Most Danishes are pretty good, is my opinion. Okay, so here is another article. So that's interesting. So I want to see if witnesses have responded in any major way. Hi, Mom and Dad. Oh my god, I'm losing my voice. Maybe I'm just getting choked up. Okay. Ooh, this is really good that they're reporting on this. Something that we've talked about on the channel before is that Jehovah's Witnesses have this massive issue where you cannot get divorced unless it is for adultery. They are like that. They're like that with the Bible. That's how they are. So unless it is literally adultery, you can't get divorced without getting in trouble. Like Jehovah's Witnesses would say, of course you could get divorced. The elders don't control anything, but of course they do. Like there are consequences for getting divorced on unscriptural grounds. And that's how they would put it. Like, if you get divorced without a scriptural reason to do so, then you are not considered to be scripturally free to be remarried. So that means, like, if you're not scripturally free to remarry, that means, like, there's, I don't know, some aura of, like, just toxicity around you. There's, like, a penalty. You got, like, a penalty, basically. But I think you're just screwed once that happens, right? Because you'll just get disfellowshipped eventually if you marry someone and you're not scripturally free to remarry, because then you're having premarital sex, or your marriage is scripturally invalid. And so people get disfellowshipped just for leaving their partner. I made that way more confusing than it actually is, but to be fair, their policies are kind of confusing. So what they do is they strongly discourage divorce, except they will allow for separation in extreme circumstances, which is quite subjective, the notion of something being extreme. So that allows for many abusive marriages to take place, and because there's a culture of silence and putting on your best face in front of others, it can be hard for anybody to know what it's really like for women behind closed doors. Maybe even the man is an elder in the congregation and everybody thinks he's this spiritual pillar of the congregation, but he's a different person at home. And because it's a patriarchal group and that abuse would have to be reported to the elders, you can see how that's like just a systemic issue. And it's really horrible. So Denmark, this was posted by Larchington, another extract from Extra. Anita Toft experienced massive violence from her husband when she was a member of Jehovah's Witnesses. When she finally told the elders about the violence, the internal court advised her not to go to the police. Quite interesting. The language, now we're reading a translation of this, but I'm assuming that it's picking up on the word judicial, or the judicial process within the group. And seeing this kind of stuff come to light and framed as the group having an internal court, you can see why they wanted to change the language in this latest Watchtower of theirs, where they changed it from a judicial committee to just a committee of elders. Or just a committee. I mean, the office had the party planning committee. Was that a court? No. Which I'm sure will be their defense in court. Watchtower, call me if you need any advice. Okay, Anita exposed to wife violence. Probably like domestic violence. Sorry, I'm like getting distracted by the translation in my head. I'll ignore it. Jehovah Court rejected police report. Incredible. Anita Toft. Sorry, we read that already. Notice in response from JW that they emphasize that the Bible can help the perpetrator of domestic violence. I believe that is Larchwood's commentary. So this little box from their article, Answers from Jehovah's Witnesses. Over the past few weeks, Extra Bledette has tried several times to get Jehovah's Witnesses to stand up for interviews, both via telephone and when we showed up to the Witnesses' headquarters, Bethel, in Holbeck? I never know how to say that. The combination AE. However, no one will show up for an interview. Extra Bledette has been in contact with the spokesperson for Jehovah's Witnesses in Denmark. In an email, he writes, among other things, no one deserves to be exposed to something as painful as what Anita expresses. We respect her feelings and do not trivialize them. Unfortunately, we are not in a position to comment further on her experiences. In addition, they write that Jehovah's Witnesses have great respect for the authorities and work willingly with them. At the same time, they emphasize in their email that the principles of the Bible can be of great help to those who commit intimate partner violence, but that professional staff, such as doctors and nurses, can also help in emergency cases. Oh my God. Good Lord. Let's just, for a second, take a minute to appreciate that this PID department that they have built up, which Robert Hendricks, the creepy leg toucher man himself, and weird like venture capitalist guy. No, I don't think that's what he just has all these weird companies he does. we've talked about Robert Hendricks before. They build this PR department for Watchtower up from the whatever it was doing before, that hadn't quite caught up with the 21st century. And this is the best that they can do. This is the best that Jehovah's organization can come up with. This is their response. This is the group that represents Jehovah God, the most special boy with the greatest, most awesome name in the whole wide world. And we love to say his name so much. That guy can't say sorry. He just can't apologize. They're like, oh, nobody should have to experience that. But she did, though. And your policies allowed it to persist and kept her in an abusive marriage. Great point from Emily Lopez here. Most just stop the physical abuse but continue being emotionally abusive. And that's the other thing. Like, they, I believe, in the most recent broadcast, we might have talked about it a little bit last week, but I think we skipped past it because it was just kind of insulting to watch. But it's what's his name? It's the creepy guy. It's the creepy Bond villain guy who gives all the creepy talks, and it's a talk specifically about people who have experienced like domestic violence or emotional abuse for women in the organization. Now it seems opportunistic that they're releasing that this particular time, almost like counter-programming to be like, no, look, Denmark officials, look at the kind of stuff that we're publishing on our website. Interesting fact about judicial committees. If the wife asks the elders for help, they won't do anything if the elder refuses, no matter how severe it is. Yeah, I mean, they don't. Because you can't... Like, the elders cannot encourage you to get separated. They can only say that it may be appropriate in certain circumstances, and probably they would do the thing that they do regarding blood that we'll talk about later, which is to say that it's a personal decision, just like reporting abuse to the police is a personal right, but the culture of the group kind of counteracts that. Sorry, I'm going to close the door real quick. I didn't hear anybody say that the noise was picking up. Let me know. Okay. Let's make the screen larger. All right. Let's read a little bit more about this. So this is the text. So definitely, noise isn't bad at all. Okay. Ooh, you can hear, but it's fine. All right. Hopefully it's a little better. I just shut the door a little. Content warning. We're going to be talking about domestic abuse. Kind of a late content warning. Sorry. I definitely should have said it at the outset. A true nightmare unfolded when Anita Toft, a member of Jehovah's Witnesses, was a member of Jehovah's Witnesses. According to her explanation, daily life was full of punches, slaps, strangleholds, kicks, and threats from her then husband. An abusive marriage went on for years without any help from the heads of the local church called the Elders. This is what Anita Toft tells Extra Bladette, which in recent weeks has put a spotlight on Jehovah's Witnesses and their lives and new rules. It is precisely the elders who act as Jehovah's internal court and assess how everything from murder to smoking should be handled and possibly punished religiously. Ooh, this is a good article. That's a great way of putting it. It's true. Instead of reporting the massive violence that Anita describes experiencing to the police, the elders read various scriptures from the Bible aloud to Anita Toft and her then husband. The purpose was clear. The violence was to be kept secret, and Anita was to follow the Bible's words to obey her husband and not involve authorities outside Jehovah's Witnesses in her problems. I said that I had physical problems because of the violence. Their answer was that I should wait to go to the doctor until my bruises were gone, said Anita Toft today. Whoa. I mean, not trying to defend Jehovah's Witnesses in any way, shape, or form, but that that sounds like an elder just giving a random personal opinion, because like that's, where is that even written down? That's completely insane. Elders, and this is a problem within the group, is that like spiritual leaders interpret just their own intuition as being the Holy Spirit guiding them. Like they just having an opinion and being able to associate it with the scripture. That's the Holy Spirit. So their own personal opinions, they'll just mistake it for genuine wisdom and just say crazy things that their members have to follow. Doing pretty good about not cursing so far. I don't know if I can keep that up, given the nature of what we're talking about here. A dangerous relationship. We met when we were very young, and I found him extremely charming, but quickly things changed. It started small, with slaps and minor blows, but it later developed into kicks, strangleholds, and violent blows that left bruises, Anita Toff tells Extra Bladette. They approached Anita's ex-husband several times with the specific accusations from his ex-wife. Extra Bladette has also tried to contact the ex-husband through the congregation he currently belongs to. By the way, he has not returned. For many, maybe they're saying he has not returned their messages. For many, it would be a natural thought to contact the police in such event of in the event of such massive violence. But for Anita, who at the time sincerely believed in the religion she had grown up in, it was not an option at all. This is really good that they are explaining this, because this is a difficult cultural thing for people to understand from the outside looking in. That it, like, why wouldn't it just be your instinct to call the police? I mean, it's victim blaming, really. And this, in addition to the kind of natural shame that all cultures have towards abuse victims, like, it's a hard thing to acknowledge psychologically, and then the group puts down extra barriers in addition to all that. This is Anita. As a Jehovah's Witness, you are trained not to involve the authorities in anything. Things must be managed within the congregation. It is also written in black and white in the Bible. Oh yeah, so she goes into the not bringing your brothers to court thing. Here's what I like about this. I'm going to jump to the answers from Jehovah's Witnesses. But one thing that I thought was good about the way they wrote this was... crap, where is it? I totally lost my comment, as we would say. In Jehovah's Witnesses. God dang it. The framing of the entire thing is really good. Like, they do a really good job of using this problem as an example of a systemic problem within the religion. And so I think the other thing they're doing a good job of is, like, demonstrating the culture of the group. That there are extreme conditions upon just basic things, like going to the police, and even going to the elders. This is what I wanted to say. Going to the elders means sitting down and being read scriptures by the elders, right? Like, that's it. That's what it is. I really think that just saying it like that, that's kind of impossible to refute. That, like, if you're a witness reading that article, right, obviously the way that you are thinking of it is that the elders are providing spiritual nourishment, like they are doing this divine process passed down from the Bible itself. But in reality, what's happening is that a woman is being beaten, and the advice she's getting is just being read scriptures. And any witness reading this article knows that the scriptures that are being read are not like, well, you know, you should stand up for yourself and you have every right to leave him because nobody should be forced to live with an abusive partner. No, that's not the scriptures they're reading. They're reading scriptures that are like, win him over without a word. Like, by your example, you can soften his heart. And I did a video a year or two ago about domestic violence, and you can watch that. There's quotes in their publications where over and over again, the examples from the publications are, if you stay with your abusive husband, eventually he will turn around and become good. Like, literally feeding into the, yes, you can change him. Yeah, like, think about that. The actual mentality that, like, keeps people into, I think keeps people in abusive relationships. And, like, I was in kind of like an emotionally abusive relationship with someone who is very unwell. But I did the thing of like, well, I can change this person, I can fix this person. And, you know, I didn't really experience physical violence, even just like emotional stuff. And that is literally the mentality that Watchtower has. Yeah, you can change him. You can. So stick with him no matter what. Maybe in extreme circumstances, you could separate. So, yeah, it's just gross. I don't want to dwell on this particular one too much because I don't want to just be like rage baiting or something. Okay, quick watch. I will say, this got my eye. Couldn't get divorced is the subheading. Although the elders, with the help of, quote, good, end quote, advice from the Bible, great, thought they had put an end to the violence in the home, Anita's nightmare continued and the violence only got worse and worse. After several years in the toxic marriage, Anita finally got the opportunity to move when her friend accidentally became aware of the domestic violence. However, it was not possible for her to be biblically divorced from her then husband, as it requires adultery to be biblically divorced in Jehovah's Witnesses. After a year, Anita finally managed to get a biblical divorce, as the ex-husband had a new boyfriend, and thus, on paper, was unfaithful. Wow, crazy. Anita's ex-husband was excommunicated by Jehovah's Witnesses for his actions, but was later reinstated. Anita, on the other hand, continued to be faithful to the religion she had grown up with, and at the time firmly believed. About 10 years later, she was finally excommunicated. After years of feeling imprisoned in her own religion, the expulsion was the end of her years-long Jehovah nightmare. The expulsion is one of the things I have experienced. Is one of the worst things I have experienced. I lost everything and felt so alone. It was as if I died for my family, and I haven't spoken to them since, but I was finally free, Anita explains. God, devastating. It was as if I died for my family. Yeah. I think a lot of us watching can definitely relate to that. Now, I am definitely this, wow, great sentence. I am definitely this. All right, we've got everything compiled in this handy-dandy post. And this one is specifically about the governing body. So I'm very interested in this. And, man, I'm just so, for many, many reasons that I won't get on my soapbox about, I'm so frustrated with the American media. There's a lot of really good reporting that happens, but I don't know, man. They really sleep on this Jehovah's Witness stuff. It's really crazy that it's been years since we've had anything like this in the U.S. Like, that Atlantic article, like, that was kind of the last thing. That was, like, the last time that Jehovah's Witnesses were put under a spot like that in the United States, and that was probably, like, 10 years ago now. Crazy. So, Denmark, this is from the 28th. So just yesterday, Jehovah's 9 powerful men, they rule the witnesses. Excellent. 9 powerful men in the United States interpret the Bible and dictate to Jehovah's Witnesses all over the world. Oh boy. Okay. Oh boy. No, sorry. This was a mistake to show it that way. Let me try that again. Okay. You can kind of read it. The Jehovah's Witnesses answer to a government. A government consisting of 9 powerful men in the United States who are not afraid of the limelight. They are called the Governing Council. All right. I'm going to just replace that with the governing body. Which, interesting, it does sometimes. Weird. I love that right out the gate they're like, they are not afraid of the limelight. These guys are on TV. That's what's so unacceptable about the lack of reporting on this. Okay. They are the ones who interpret the words of the Bible. They are the ones who set the agenda, and they are the ones who issue orders to their 8 million members throughout the world, including the Danish senior members. The governing body is the outward face of Jehovah's Witnesses. But who are these 9 powerful men really? According to Jehovah's Witnesses' own website, jw.org, the governing body is a small group of, quote, mature Christian men. Which just feels bad to read in a newspaper, in quotes, doesn't it? You can't spice that one up. Who are responsible for the global work of Jehovah's Witnesses and are the ones who administer the use of funds given as contributions. Just as they supervise the men who hold important positions in the religious community, only men have the opportunity to hold leadership roles in the organization. This is excellent. It is accurate, and it is so simply worded to the point of being devastating, which is fantastic. Like, just mentioning that they are the ones who administer the use of funds given as contributions. Like, when I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, this is really going to freak a Jehovah's Witness out, because they're not saying anything that's wrong, but it feels wrong to read it. Like, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, it's going to give you that bad feeling that the governing body always warns you you're going to get when you read apostate information. Yeah, it's going to make you feel bad, because it is exposing that this thing you've dedicated your life to is a complete sham, and that these guys are cult leaders, that, like, you've been duped, you've been bamboozled, you've been spackledorfed, and yet a lot of people will, stop reading here and be like, well, that article was biased, because it made them feel bad. But sometimes you will notice, to use one of our favorite words, that people will accuse things of being biased that are just true because the truth conflicts with their beliefs. So that's what I'm imagining is going through witnesses' heads. Okay, interesting. So they have an article about, like, the new rules even. I was just reading this little box. Okay. Video stars. I want to know, like, what the best possible English translation of that would be. It's really great. It is the men from the governing body who appear in several of the videos on the Jehovah's Witness website. In the videos, all 9 speak with the same tone of voice and in an almost hypnotic way. What is this? The all-worldly channel? I agree wholeheartedly. It is quite clear that some experienced TV hosts represent Jehovah's Witnesses and convey messages to the members worldwide. One of the prominent men of the... Okay, hang on a second. I guess what they're saying, I think what they're trying to articulate, and it's not coming through in the translation, is that, like, these, like, the people who host the broadcasts are people of prominence in the organization, and they convey, like, global messages. That's how I'm reading it. Let me know if I'm wrong about that. One of the prominent men on the governing body is Mark Sanderson. It was he who presented the new rules, which the governing body presented to all their new members in March. In the video, he appears well prepared and brushes out his points completely, so that even children would understand... Did I read that right? That's how it's translating to. And brushes out his points completely, so that even children would understand his messages. Incredible. He is smiling and well-dressed. Sanderson has been on the governing body since 2012. Interesting. What? We're like mixing and matching some articles in this Reddit post. Here. Let me scroll to the actual link to the article. Great. They didn't post one? Oh, yeah, they did. Oh, okay. It's behind a paywall. That's why we're doing this. I see. So, the governing body resides at Bethel's headquarters in Warwick, USA. Here, they live together, eat together, and study the Bible together. This is so fucking important. This is what I was saying on a... I don't remember if it was a members-only stream or not, but in the video that I've been kind of working on off and on about, like, all the lies that Jehovah's Witnesses tell about CSA, when they're in court. That's the premise of the video, is like, because they use the same script every time, basically. So in looking at, we can look at a few cases and see consistently that they use the same tactics. And I might like use just one as a case study or something. Still kind of trying to figure it out, but they will assert that these different departments don't really have anything to do with each other. Like, you can see it in the Australian Royal Commission, where Jeffrey Jackson is saying that X, Y, or Z is not his field. Like, well, I work in translation. You're asking about the service committee. That's not my field. I wouldn't know that. And in the Kuykeard versus Watchtower case that we've been looking at a few times on the channel recently, Gary Bro and a couple of these other guys, I don't remember their names offhand, but that's what they do. They say, like, well, I don't have anything to do with that department. I don't know their protocols. And you can read the court documents. Like, one of the court documents that made it into the record was the policy manual of Bethel, the service desk. And it's got like a map, for like fire safety. Like, here's your emergency exit route. So it's got this map of the department, everybody's desks. And you can just see on this map that all these guys like sit, 10 feet apart from each other. And it is often lost if you don't know how, like, the ins and outs of this group, that like those excuses are completely disingenuous. Like, not only do they definitely all know what all the other departments do, because probably they've like worked at different departments over the years anyway, they also literally like eat, sleep, and live 24/7 with these people. They live in a compound. So this is good. This article is getting me excited. Like, the dream, it's like the movie Spotlight, right? Like, if people haven't seen the movie Spotlight, which is about the Boston Globe's reporting on the Catholic Church, I think it was the Boston Globe, it's really great, and it's shocking. Like, even knowing what all they're involved in, kind of seeing them uncover it is shocking. And reading this, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I've ever seen this written out like this in a newspaper. It is crazy. Weirdly, like, a lot of American media that's covered it, like, they don't expand out to the governing body almost. Like, they just will talk about, like, maybe they'll talk about the policy manuals or the Shepherd book, but they don't zoom out to this degree. Okay. Power takes hold in Denmark. Does anybody have a link to that, to the full article? It seems like we're not getting everything. I can't really tell. This looks like it might be a different magazine, or at least a different section of the magazine. Power takes hold in Denmark. Former elder in the organization, Frank Fleming Jensen, or maybe it's Jensen, says that it is the governing body that rules the organization with a heavy hand, and people quickly adapt to them. When you talk about power in Jehovah's Witnesses, it starts and ends with the governing body. It is they who decide, also in Denmark. When they make rules, they also apply here in Denmark, says former elder. Guy, so, who we talked about before. At the same time, he says that it is they who have the last word when rules are to be implemented. The governing body described that one should seek out members who have... What? That one should seek out members who have now been expelled, and several former Jehovah's Witnesses here in Denmark have experienced inquiries from former acquaintances. Oh, I see. Like, people who were, who have drifted, who are inactive, maybe. Or maybe have been disfellowshipped for non-apostate reasons. Oh, and they get into the luxury management stuff. Humility is okay, so it says, luxury management / the expensive boy? Amazing. Humility is a cornerstone of Christianity. Of course, Jehovah's Witnesses carry this message forward to the best of their ability. The spokesperson for Jehovah's Witnesses in Denmark, Kenneth Anderson, even writes in a written response to Extrabladet. Jehovah's Witnesses do not give special attention to individuals because of their appointment or assignment. Those who are members of the board I guess they mean governing body, are humble people who neither demand nor attract special attention, he wrote to them when he asked why members of the Danish board. Oh, okay. So maybe the branch. So let me try reading that with saying the branch, because that makes sense, like the Danish branch. Those who are members of the branch are humble people who neither demand nor attract special attention. Complete BS. And he was asked why members of the Danish branch were so anonymous and inaccessible to general members. Has anybody ever tried to call the branch? It's not necessarily easy. Oh my goodness, Chandler's late because he was arguing about politics in another chat. Yeah, let's keep that out of here today. We're being good. I've been good so far. Oh, wow. So one of these magazines shows them wearing these expensive watches. Oh my god. That's incredible. I would not have expected them to report on that. Well, that's fascinating. Let's see. Oversight Committee. There was one more that I wanted to. Denmark and Iceland is now looking at Norway's example against Jehovah's Witnesses. Wait, that's from 2 years ago. No. Hang on. Past week? Jehovah's Witnesses were supposed to hear from the media that the Ministry of Church Affairs had decided to initiate a supervision case against the religious community. What? Ooh. Let's read this one. Ooh. Skipping taxes. Oh my god, there's so many possibilities. All right, so let's just quickly run through a few headlines before we move on to the next bit here. So skipping taxes, Jehovah's cool benefits. I have to imagine that that's not the best translation. Jehovah's Witnesses benefit from being a recognized religious community here in Denmark. This entails a number of economic advantages that the movement has been deprived of in Norway. Interesting. They're showing, I guess, their elaborate thing. Maybe this is where the watch picture comes in. I want to look at this psychological violence article. It looks like we can read it. Awesome. Psychologist about Jehovah's Witnesses. They practice psychological violence. According to psychologist Suzanne Benderfelt, Jehovah's Witnesses practice psychological violence against their members. I would wholeheartedly agree. Now, this is great. Are you a member of Jehovah's Witnesses and have input on the subject? Then Extra Bladette would love to hear from you. Contact the journalist here. That is so smart because you know that there are people who are going to click that without checking with the elders first. Because obviously the elders would tell them, no, don't do that. Probably only the PID is supposed to be filling out forms like that. But Jehovah's Witnesses will. And yeah, they'll tread the company line. But if they are in an actual back and forth with a journalist, that could be really interesting to get their earnest reactions. That's something that we really don't have outside of surreptitious recordings, like the Judicial Committee thing. But that's kind of talking to elders, which feels a little different. Talking to people at carts. That's a little confrontational almost. They're directed to basically just shut down. But I reference that Mother God documentary a lot just because I loved it and think about it all the time. But they had a lot of people who still actively believed in the movement and interviewed them throughout it. And it was really, disturbing to watch, but fascinating because they had a perspective on the group from a member's point of view. And that was different from the people who had left. We just don't see that ever, really. And because they don't cooperate with documentaries. It's not like they're going to show up in Vice's reporting. They're not going to let their media guys go on some actually prominent talk show or documentary. They're not going to do that. So we just don't really get to hear from members a lot. And that's why I really liked the idea of having conversations with members on the channel. But I still, to this day, it's been a long time since I've had any reach out to me and even insinuate that they would be okay with that. So maybe I'll just re-up that right now. If you're a witness and you're peeping in, if you're a peeping Tom, perhaps a doubting Tom, to steal a joke that I already used in a video, feel free to contact me. I'll be nice, but it would be really interesting to talk with you. I think that ex-Jehovah's Witnesses and current witnesses should be able to talk, because that's ridiculous. Nobody should be forbidden from talking to other people. But anyway, I digress. The Jehovah's Witness status as a recognized religious community hangs in the balance. Psychologist Suzanne Benderfelt believes that Jehovah's Witnesses practice psychological violence against their members and are thus in violation of Danish legislation, which is a prerequisite for being a recognized religious community. Whether Jehovah's Witnesses are in violation of Danish legislation and thus do not meet the requirement of being a recognized religious community, the Minister of Churches intends to investigate further. On Wednesday, the Ministry of the Church announced that they have initiated a supervision case against Jehovah's Witnesses. This happened after Extra Bladet had described in several articles an internal court in the religious movement, which may be on the verge of the Danish reporting obligation. Maybe it means on the edge. Ostracism equals psychological violence. I believe this is her quote. The whole expulsion process of Jehovah's Witnesses is in itself psychological violence. You subject another person to isolation, as the ostracized person is not allowed to talk to his family and friends. The outcasts are weighed down by guilt, shame, and a massive feeling of loneliness. Yeah. It says that she has spoken to countless ostracized members of Jehovah's Witnesses in her practice over the past several years, and therefore she has no doubts about the negative consequences that the organization's principles can lead to. I would be really interested to know, I'd never thought about this before, but are there any psychologists who have published anything using, doing case studies, all of their experience talking to people with religious trauma? Is that a thing? Has anybody ever published on that? Because that would be interesting to read. Psychological violence illegal. In Denmark, psychological violence has been criminalized since 2019. Therefore, it will be in clear violation of Danish legislation, and thus also the requirement to be a recognized religious community if Jehovah's Witnesses practice psychological violence. And then they mention the Norway case. Okay, so let's read what she says before I get on my soapbox. I feel it. I feel the call to the soapbox. I have to admit. I'm feeling the pull. In addition to the relentless ostracism process, and by the way, sorry, this is a tangent, but reading this article, right, doesn't use the word disfellowshipping, doesn't use the word removed, their new word, it uses expulsion and ostracism. And those are both totally accurate and convey the truth of what is happening within this religion, right? And so this is what I don't totally understand about Watchtower's strategy of simply getting rid of certain words and replacing them with different words. The judicial process isn't a problem because it's called a judicial committee. It's a problem because of the way it works. And the way it works has not fundamentally changed. So I don't really know how effective this game is that they're playing. One thing that Larchwood has posted about a lot, and that I have honestly just I have a hard time wrapping my head around it, and I need to dedicate myself to untangling it. But it's a thing, and you can see it in the Shepherd book, that they are getting rid of the word members. They just don't refer to congregants as anything, really. They'll use the word publishers, but they avoid the word members. And if your congregation has a get-together at the shelter house in the park, and you are going to make a little yard sign so that people know from the congregation know where to find the picnic, you're not allowed to put the North Congregation because then legally you could be liable because if something happens, it happened because of the North congregation. Like, they're trying all these little ways to weasel out of everything, but I think when you're actually just able to demonstrate the behavior of the group, I don't know how effective that stuff is. Confuses me. I don't understand it. Okay, sorry. I need a little sip before I get back to... Okay. In addition to the relentless ostracism process, psychologist Susan Benderfeld also believes that especially children in Jehovah's Witnesses are exposed to psychological violence. Children in Jehovah's Witnesses are brought up to believe in Judgment Day, when all who do not believe in Jehovah will die. At the same time, you grow up with a lot of restrictions and a twisted view of the world. If that's not psychological violence, then I don't know what is. As a child in Jehovah's Witnesses, you are subject to restrictions that mean you do not celebrate Christmas, Lent, or birthdays. This section is called Guilt, Shame, and Social Control. She talks about her contact with... this is extra Bladette. She's been in contact with several former Jehovah's Witnesses who all tell of guilt, shame, social control when they grew up in the religious community. One of them is, quote, Sophie, who was recently approached by one of the senior members of the organization. In front of Extra, she described how it felt to grow up in Jehovah's Witnesses. You learn from childhood that even your thoughts can be heard by Jehovah. I felt wrong constantly because I wanted to do like all other young people. You are over-controlled and subject to social control. It's like being in a dysfunctional relationship. 39-year-old Mikhail Harbo has also described how it feels to grow up in the religious movement. He says, as a young person in Jehovah's Witnesses, you have the feeling of guilt and shame all the time, and this also follows you into adulthood. Oh my God, what the hell is happening? This is what the webpage looks like. That was something. Okay, so on that note, I am extremely interested to see what's going to happen in Norway. It seems like they really are going in and are going to evaluate their religious charitable status like they did in Norway. So a couple interesting things about that. What this person said, Sophie, the ex-JW who was interviewed here, even your thoughts can be heard by Jehovah. That is so creepy, right? But it's a big part of today's Watchtower, folks. How's that for a transition? This is a broadcast professional here. But this has been a little bit of a depressing section, so I feel like we probably need to lighten it up with something. I don't necessarily know what to do, because now that I think about it, literally everything we're about to look at is kind of depressing. Well, there's always this one clip of Sam Hurt saying, yeah. That's not nothing. That's not nothing. There is chat. We can talk about chat. Title of the report on Reddit is What Happens to Those Who Exit Jehovah's Witnesses? An investigation into the impact of shunning. Ooh. Okay, so the one little soapbox that I wanted to go on for a second is like what you're seeing in Norway and in Denmark is what is possible when a government is capable of defunding harmful religions, right? Like under their form of government, psychological abuse has been criminalized. Like that as a concept has been criminalized. Now, of course it should be, right? Of course it should be. But if you're in the US like me, it's almost impossible, especially right now, given our Supreme Court, but it's pretty impossible to imagine it being possible to criminalize something like psychological abuse because our country is very deferential to Christianity in general. And the entire government is set up to basically give religion complete free reign to do whatever. So, I did not say any kind of political parties or candidates or anything, but you have to, if you are serious about wanting Watchtower to be held to account and to face these kind of consequences, for it to even be possible in the United States, beyond things like big exposés that are hugely damaging to their reputation. That's really what I'm hoping for at this point. And maybe closing some loopholes on mandatory reporting. They're not going to be stripped of their religious status in the U.S. So you have to think about that. Like, if you are serious about getting involved in politics as an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and that is something that you care about, which maybe it isn't. Like, maybe you envision a world where we must accept that groups like Jehovah's Witnesses will exist. I don't agree with that. I think that clearly it is evidence that we can live in a society where extreme, harmful cults don't get free government money. Their speech is not being suppressed. They're not being thrown in jail, but they're not going to be a registered charity because they're doing harm. So think about that with your political organizing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to, and the reality is, beyond just posting, the way to do the most good is to find ways to limit the amount of harm that they are allowed to cause. And so you can't, like, if your leaders are specifically incredibly deferential to extremist religions, that's just, okay, you're facilitating an environment where groups like Jehovah's Witnesses can thrive. Maybe that is because it happens to conform with your religious beliefs, but the freedoms that your religious beliefs have, wouldn't be impacted by, I don't know, cult legislation, right? I mean, if it would, that would be a problem. I don't know. I guess I got a little lost there. Oh my God, Lo. This is a real mixed bag of a message, because on one hand it's a super chat, and I thank you. A stranger drugged me last night at a concert. Thankfully, my sister got me help and went to the ER. Goes out to anyone who had this happen to them. Lo, I am so sorry. I have had that happen to me. It is terrifying and awful. While we're talking about bummers, yeah, I had that happen to me, and it is absolutely, yeah, it's the worst. I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. I'm glad that your sister was there for you and that you're okay. And thanks for this super chat. God damn it. That was like the most painful intersection of like the reality of doing YouTube live streams, is like talking about something serious, and then like there's a fart joke in chat, and then there's a super chat, and then there's like an ad. It's just weird times we live in. Hey, thanks to Suchen Wow. I agree that the psychological abuse doesn't get the attention it needs. Still, I think a lot of witnesses engage in corporal punishment with their kids, which is a lot more clear legally. Is it in the United States? I didn't know that, actually. I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right that they do. Like, a lot of people in my family were spankers, so it's a big problem. Okay, so I did want to make myself a tiny box once again. And hey, thanks, Heliocentric. Jake, editing your portion of the video now. Keep kicking ass. Appreciate you, man. If you liked our conversation together, I'm going to release a little bonus section from our conversation together. At the end of the conversation we had, Heliocentric just kind of like flipped the script and was like, hey, can I ask you a couple questions? And he like interviewed me for 20 minutes, and it was fun. So I think I'm going to release that as a video this week, along with some other uploads I've got in the chamber. Thanks, Apostate Barbie, for the super chat. I really wonder if you could somehow get like objective data on it and survey witness families, whether or not they spank their kids. I wonder what the percentage would be, because I think it's a lot. It's your 4-year wake up birthday, so happy Super Hat, chat. No, it's Super Hat. if I wanted to go back into the politics corner, I would put on my super hat, but it's too controversial. That is so exciting. I think I just posted about it, and now I can't remember what year it was. If it was my 4-year or 5-year wake up anniversary. Ooh, wait, I can find out real quick. I can find out real quick, like. And I haven't done any funny voices, by the way. What a shame. 5 years. Woke up 5 years ago. That's crazy. That really feels like, I don't know, I'm going to have to unpack that one in therapy. I both feel like many, many things have changed and I've made a lot of progress. And then I also feel like not a lot has changed and I've made hardly any progress. Maybe that's just how all humans feel all the time. I don't know. Everything's different, but is it though? I've grown, but I'm also exactly the same size. So I peeped at the old watchtower this morning. I think I saw, actually, you know what? While we are on the old XJW subreddit, I wanted to shout out a post. Now that we're occasionally going to be just talking about funny Reddit posts on here, this is a pretty amazing one. You know what a good Reddit video would be? And I don't know how good a Reddit video can be technically, but compiling like all of the funny meeting comments at the meeting, like posts on XJW, like that would be a pretty good one. Just crazy comments people have given. And I've got a couple pretty good ones I can drop. So this is from Mammoth Term 1463, posted 10 hours ago. Don't forget women can also masturbate, an elder says. He said that during the Watchtower article today. You can imagine the silence in the hall and the awkward sensation directly afterwards. These people are insane. Now I want to see if anybody posted crazy comments. Oh my god. Okay, so this person, Pimo de Pomo, who I think we've seen in our chat before, if this person has, brand synergy and uses the same username everywhere. I know a 20-year-old girl who's PME. She believes it is immoral to use tampons because then you have to touch yourself. That just raises so many questions. Yes, my mother-in-law taught her daughters not to use tampons before getting married because they could accidentally lose their virginity that way. And then their husbands could reject them. Oh my god. Just because it could, hypothetically... Why? I was about to really start talking about this. Like I had something to add to the conversation. That's messed up on so many levels. In all fairness, that's the way of thinking my mother-in-law had before joining the Jehovah's. Due to the machismo she had to deal with during her youth, especially from her husband. A sister told my wife once about a JW woman who was rejected by her JW husband because she didn't bleed after the wedding night. His JW relatives encouraged him to leave her because she wasn't a virgin. Good God. Good night, nurse, as my grandfather would say. That's demented. Okay. Maybe we can do a quick fun segment. But, okay, the reason why I pulled that up is because I was like, all right, well, if they talk about masturbation in the Watchtower, we gotta talk about it on Sunday service. You know how I be. You know how the streams are. This is the question of the day, by the way. Eric E., master of flat earth theory. Holy shit. I hope this is a certain level of irony. Why are the JWs in the Watchtower so obsessed with sex? It's the self-fulfilling prophecy. What were we talking about this morning? Christina texted me, and now I don't know. She expected. I don't know if this will show up if I hold it up to the camera, but it's a really cute picture of Peach. You can kind of see her face. Very cute. Okay. What the F was I talking about? How have I been doing on cursing? I don't remember cursing. But Christina and I were literally talking about this earlier today. Oh, it was in relation to the Watchtower study. That it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like puritanical groups are more sex obsessed, right? Because they are thinking about it all the time. It's the don't think about elephants paradox from Inception. If you tell someone not to think about something, they're going to think about that thing. Like telling yourself not to think about something is kind of impossible, actually. That's not how brains work. So instead, what happens is they demonize and shame anybody for having sex. And so immoral sex by their standards happens a lot because all anybody is ever thinking about is sex. And so then they have to give more warning talks about sex and masturbation. So then it's just all anybody's talking about constantly. And it just is endless. Thank you to the governor, by the way. Heliocentric's observation on Jehovah's Witnesses' uncritical acceptance of the text of the Bible was so insightful. Well done, Helio. Yeah, shout out to our boy here. Yes, and I think this is totally accurate. All cults are sex cults, just in a different way. I think that is become a common aphorism on the XJW subreddit. Like, they are a sex cult, but it's like a no sex cult. It's like, instead of you have to have sex with the leader, it's like they have rule books and policy manuals of what you are and aren't allowed to do with sex and blah, blah, blah. So, anyway, I think I should tell a funny, I almost said field service story, funny comment story before we move on to the Watchtower, because it's kind of funny because they're talking about it, but then we're getting into like sexual repression, which isn't necessarily super funny. Ooh. Okay, Lava Blue, I'm setting aside your comment because you read my mind, and I want to make sure you get credit for being a psychic. Yeah. I just realized that I took credit for your independent thought. That's not necessarily what I want to do. This is a good pitch for content. Oh my goodness. Shield Society says I would love it if Helio went to a JW convention. That's how you step it up. That's how you step it up from meetings. Okay, funny comment story. And sound off in chat with yours. So we had a couple crazy commenters in our hall, and there's a difference, right? Because some people are long commenters, some people are bad commenters, like their comments just don't make a lot of sense, and then there are the crazy commenters who are like posting cringe, like they are posting cringe on main into a microphone out loud on purpose. And usually it just so happens that the crazy commenters are also the long commenters, but there's also, and maybe this is a video idea that I'm having, but there's also the short commenter. Like there are some people, and what they do is like they'll do this. They don't fully raise their hands, because you're supposed to raise your hand, like this, all the way up. Most people do this. And sometimes if the Watchtower conductor's a real stickler, he'll be like, now I can't see your hands, brothers and sisters.
Are you talking about the half-mast, hand raising?
Yes! Christina just called it the half-mast hand raising. It's a great turn of phrase. My grandfather did this. He did he would be sitting in his chair. So imagine that his wrist is at waist level. And he would... That was his way of raising his hand. This is like a technique you have to have. This is like cultural currency within Jehovah's Witnesses, how you raise your hand. Anyway, so, and my grandfather, he would sometimes become like a stealth bomber. And I like the stealth bomber commenters. Like mostly he would just give, kind of normal, insightful Bible-y comments to the extent that any JW comments are insightful. I did try and take the 30 seconds or less things seriously. I always tried not to be funny in my comments because I felt like my perception was just like I wasn't a serious person. I was like this. I was just like this, but at a Kingdom Hall, basically. And so I try to keep my comments serious. But there were some people who just had the incredible ability to raise the hand, and there's this long beat if you're waiting for the Watchtower mic carrier to come up to you, you handle it, and you hear the fumbling of the microphone, and they just drop a perfect one-liner and basically just drop the microphone back into an acne-ridden 15-year-old JW kid's hands, and people bust out laughing. It's incredible. It's an incredible skill, like an incredible social feat that only exists in that one context. It's great. The half chub hand raise. My grandpa is so freaking cool. Let me talk about him first because I've been thinking about him a lot. As I mentioned, he is sick and not doing very well, so I've been thinking a lot about him. And sometimes on the channel, we talk about the difficulty of reconciling, like, the respect that we had for our family as witnesses for their witness qualities with still loving them, but for different reasons. And maybe, like, if you strip away the witness reasons, what remains, I guess, is how I have had to think of it. Like, my grandfather, who I love very much, you know, he is a Jehovah's Witness, and he is a particularly staunch creationist. You know, they don't use that term, but, you know, he believes and loves creation. He loved bird watching, would take his binoculars, you know, around his neck all the time. He wore bib overalls all day, every day, all the time. If he could have had a bib suit, he would have definitely worn one. Blue bib overalls. And I was thinking about this. Like, my grandfather was born a pig farmer in, you know, East Jesus, Ohio. And then as a young man gets a job working at Battelle Laboratories. It's like a science lab. And then he and his best friend start a contracting business, like construction and building things. And they build a small business from the ground up without ever advertising, ever. All word of mouth for, I don't know. I'm trying to think of how long he did it before he personally retired. 50 years, probably. And it was insane. Like, my grandfather is a really cool guy. And all the time, you know, they had 7 kids. He supported all those kids and did congregation stuff. And, like, he is the kind of elder that, like, he taught us kids, like, you help the older folks in the congregation. Like, you go shovel their driveways, rake their leaves. If somebody's moving, we've got a truck, so we help them move. So, like, he was on every construction build, you know, but he was a really charitable guy who really cared about helping people. And, like, those are all amazing qualities. Like, that is a cool guy. And, yeah, I love him a lot. And that's how I've been trying to kind of think about my JW family in a new context, I guess, is, all right, without my emotional relationship attached to the witness aspect of it, like, what do I like about them as a person? Anyway, so that's, I don't know why I went on that tangent. But that leads us, oh, and also he just was shorthand raise. And he was a ministry school guy, so he was, you know, I was in his ministry school, and he always said that I read too fast, which now I definitely do on stream. But really, like, my slow, pausey manner of speaking comes from being raised by him. This is how he talks. He takes long, awkward pauses, too. So, crazy comment. My favorite thing is crazy health advice that would come up from a particular sister.
Talk about what's her face.
Probably. I just don't want to say your name out loud. Yeah. Just in case. I don't want to dox anybody. Especially now that we've given our mothers maiden names. You can easily trace the characters in these stories. So we had a sister who always had interesting advice. And one of them was a study article. This was probably 10, 15 years ago. It was a study article about music. And, like, Jehovah created music and singing praises to Jehovah. It's like the yearly article where they're like, can we please this year sing good? Can you put a little bit of effort into it and give it just like a little bit of Baptist energy? Just a little bit. And it doesn't ever happen, but so we were studying an article like that. And so the sister raises her hands I believe I am reading the Watchtower, so I'm on the stage, which was always a problem for me because I had people come up to me afterward and say that they like it when I read the Watchtower because they like watching my face because I can't help but react with my cartoonish expressions. She answers, she says, music is amazing. It's literally the music alkalines your body. The actual sounds and reverberations. At the last district convention, there was a woman having a seizure in the women's restroom, and as soon as the song came on, the seizure stopped, and she was cured. So that's just an example of how amazing Jehovah's songs are. Hand the microphone back. So like that kind of stuff would just become the talk of the town afterward. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to say, you should tell them about the advice you got in the Kingdom Hall parking lot about masturbation.
I don't remember this story. I don't remember a lot about it, but
it was one of the first stories that you told.
I know. Okay, come here. You can help fill in the gaps here, because this is.
I don't know if I remember it all.
No, I don't remember it either. But it's like, okay, we're stripey. We're like inverse striped.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so here's what I remember. We like immediately had chemistry when you transferred to our Kingdom Hall, and we're clearly into each other right away. But it took us for a while to.
Well, we had to do things the proper JW way, right? Like.
Yeah, so you have to do the thing where you just side eye each other at the meetings and talk, and like go out in service with each other and stuff. But anyway, I was fairly new in this congregation. Oh, it's like wanting to focus. It like doesn't know how to focus on us. I'm sure there's a way to turn off that function, but I don't know how to do it. So just pretend there's a T-Rex there and nobody moves. So after the meeting,
I can't do it.
my memory is that Sister Quality Inn. I'll let you think about that joke.
Yeah.
Took me after, like, was talking to me for a long time after the meeting, and it was regarding masturbation. And the fact that masturbation is a huge problem, and her children deal with it.
And this was, like, unsolicited advice. It wasn't like
the topic of conversation.
Right. It wasn't like it was a conversation or whatever discussion in the Kingdom Hall.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Or, like, during a lesson or something.
Yeah. She just brought it up, and I was hoping you remembered why. Because there was some reason why. But she started talking about...
Whatever the reason, it was obviously not a good enough reason, because I would have remembered.
Did you get the joke?
No.
Oh. Hang on, I was working.
Oh, okay.
That probably picked up on Mike.
Got you. I got you.
I should have said like La Quinta or
Quality.
Sister Doubletree.
That's really funny.
Sister Double Team. So she is talking about jerking it for a long time in the Kingdom Hall. And this conversation continues outside in the parking lot, and it is now just me and her. Everybody else has gone home, and I have to lock up the Kingdom Hall and set the alarm at the end of the day. And then she like had accosted me and was talking about masturbation. And I don't remember why. But one of our first conversations when we knew that, wait, no. I don't think that it was one of our first conversations. I think that I told you this when I asked you out the first time.
So what I meant with, when I said it was one of our first conversations, I meant like it was one of our first conversations when like we've clearly expressed our love for each other. Oh. And as we like get that out of the way, you're like, I have to tell you this story.
Yeah. Well, I think it had happened that day. I think it had happened that day.
Oh, did it?
And it was the weirdest thing that ever happened, and we already knew that we could talk about anything because, like, kind of making edgy jokes to each other.
Oh, yeah. One of my first jokes to you was about babysitting.
Yeah, I was babysitting, and you're like, oh, are you going to
sit on the baby's
don't
head.
crush the baby's head or something, like, really dark. And then you were like, that was really dark. I'm sorry. And I was like, no. I'm like, yes anded it. But anyway, like, yeah, that had just happened, and I was sort of, like,
upset.
A little traumatized by it.
Yeah, of course.
And honestly, she's not a bad-looking sister. I didn't know what was happening. And I was, my heart was wrapped
with
up
somebody
in
else?
Yeah.
My heart was longing for someone else.
I don't have room in my life for another masturbation buddy. Sister in her late 50s.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, I don't think it would have been comfortable no matter what the age was, but I think it makes it more uncomfortable that she's significantly older than you, and she's, like, going on and on about masturbation, how it's an issue, and all this, that, and the other, and, like, has no self-awareness to realize, I am talking to a 20-something-year-old brother. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about this.
Oh. An old video of mine, I posted my craziest field service story. This sister Flick the Bean was like is related to them, like same Kingdom Hearts stuff. So that's the whole family just had a lot of interesting things going on.
They had a lot of weird takes and weird obsessions.
Their sense of what was appropriate fodder for a conversation in a religious setting, didn't align with mine, to be perfectly honest.
I don't think it would align with anybody's.
It wasn't ever, like, at the cookout. It was at the door out in service. The Kingdom Hall.
It also, the conversations that they felt, like, obligated to have would have been anywhere. Yes. And it would have been just as inappropriate. Because it was all about the way they presented it and, like,
everybody had stories.
How long they went into that conversation.
Oh, we have another special guest. And, by the way, I have in the works, so this will be ready for next Sunday's service, which is going to be a big one, folks. XJW Caleb. I guess that was kind of Trump or something. I'm going to have a peach drop or when pets show up. Yeah! What's up, girlfriend?
She started doing her, like, hacky thing.
Yes, she does this, like...
Like, cough.
To, like, get attention. Yes. Well, very good. I'm glad that we recounted that memory. That was genuinely hilarious. I cannot remember why she brought it up, but of course there wouldn't have been a good reason.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that... Like, even if you remembered the reason why, it still wouldn't have been a good enough reason.
Yeah, it was just weird because, like, her kids were, like, younger than me. They were probably, like, teenagers or in their 20s. Well, one of them was my age.
Yeah.
Our age.
Or close to it.
Close to it. But I knew all of them, and so she's, like, talking about her kids masturbating. I'm, like, friends with all of them. It's very strange.
She just really, again, with the purity culture, you're always thinking about sex and how to get it, even if you have to do it yourself.
I still wonder if that was her little way of saying, like, pushing boundaries and, like...
Yeah, and offering pointers.
Yeah. How do you...
Point your fingers.
No, I'm not going to go there. Okay. All right. Now, that was all a perfect, succinct, flawless prelude to this. To guard it against temptation. And this is a great little bridge the gap here. Because we're going to talk about just some of the cringy stuff in this Watchtower. And Lava Blue says, some people really got into extolling how amazing sex is within marriage during some Watchtower studies, though. Puke face.
That's pretty upsetting.
Right? You remember this, though, where, like, people would drop little hints like, well, and we have a little conjugal little marital do.
I don't remember.
And they'll make
anything.
little, like, allusions to the fact that they're having sex.
No, what
Pardon
I
me.
remember is when we got engaged and we were planning the wedding, I had a lot of sisters give me unsolicited advice as to what to do before, during, and after sex.
Whoa!
Like, remember when my maid of honor, she gave me, like, a little care package of
Oh, yeah.
things.
She gave us a really hardcore talk in the King Hall parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually good advice.
It wasn't.
But it also wasn't anything that...
It wasn't like I asked for.
No,
Or
and I
anything.
also, it was just like, seemed obvious to me, but this is a witness marriage that she was coming from.
Correct.
So, presumably, this was a hard-learned lesson. But she was like, and this is, we're in street clothes because, and I'm sorry that I keep getting derailed, and then covering up Christina's face. Like Mike Wazowski in Monsters, Inc. Are you okay if I say what she said?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay. She, like, took us out in the Kingdom Hall parking lot because we were, like, getting the chairs stuff set up for the wedding that's going to be the next day. And she's like, all right, Jake, you have to make her come. You have to. And gave me, like, this is the 9th inning. Two
And-
bases are loaded.
And it's either now or never.
And speaking of loads,
Yeah.
etc. If you're going to get to home base...
Yeah, well,
And it was like that.
She told me that after sex I need to make sure I pee.
That's
Like-
true. And you learned that at the Kingdom Hall,
Yeah.
where most people learn that.
Yeah. It's not like...
What are the chances that you weren't going to? Like, well, I have to, but I don't think so. I think I should hold it in.
I feel like I have to go to the bathroom, but ask me in 10 minutes. Then I might.
Oh my god.
Maybe I will then. I don't know. It's undecided at this point. I just had sex. I'm not thinking about peeing.
I go to a whole other dimension where pee doesn't even exist. No, okay, this is becoming disgusting
A
and
little bit.
cloying. But remarkably, we neither gained nor lost viewers during that segment. So.
It's true. It's been pretty steady.
Steady, easy.
And also to the comment about as long as you didn't pee on him, no, I did not. He asked me to.
No, I knew you were gonna say some shit. I knew it. And now I did curse. And now I did because of this.
I'm kidding. Nobody wanted pee on them.
It just happened. No. Now, we know when we're kidding, which is all of it, but now it's just real. I'm realizing that people are going to start speculating things. All right.
All right. We gained viewership.
Oh, now, okay. All right. People are... I'm now imagining, right? I saw earlier that atheist YouTuber that I found that I really liked. I played a clip last week, Durante Lamar. He's like doing a stream like at the same time as me. Apparently that's when he streams. I'm like, God damn it. And now I'm imagining a scenario where he tuned in to this stream. And that is what he's...
You know what? I would love it if he did.
If he wasn't charmed, is his heart made of stone?
Probably. He's atheist. I'm just kidding.
Wow. Checkmate, atheist.
I'm kidding.
Okay. I love you.
Love you.
You're insane. But not as insane as his watchtower. We're going to get some tips on how to avoid... Temptation. Oh, God. Where the hell is my button for small box? Okay.
What would you prefer?
Oh, truly either. Okay, so this is Keep on Guard Against Temptation. And this one, it's what you think. It's about not fiddling with your biddlins, or...
Don't fiddle with your biddle.
Don't fiddle with your biddles, or twiddle with your...
Nope, stop.
I didn't say it. Okay. I don't have any good metaphors. Okay. I don't necessarily want to dwell on this for too long, because I have a part of this that I actually put some effort into, and we haven't even gotten to it. Alright, so let's do Control F and see what we really want to know. Mass. Okay, the first instance of master is Jesus. The second, is unfortunately masturbation. So paragraph 5. I think this might call for old-timey film reel propaganda. By the way, I've been getting robbed on these views, on these channel views. I did funny edits. I'll say it. I'll stand up for myself. Funny edits where I did my old-timey accent, filtered it through an old-timey radio thing. And you know what? I have yet to receive a Pulitzer Prize. Okay. All of us face temptation to sin. Well, no, hang on a second. All of us face temptation to sin, but each one of us has areas of vulnerability, whether it is to commit a serious sin, to engage in some form of unclean conduct, or to fall prey to worldly thinking. For example, one person may be fighting temptation to commit sexual immorality. Another might be strongly inclined toward unclean practices, such as masturbation or viewing pornography. Still another may be struggling with the fear of man, independent thinking, a quick temper, or something else. As James states, each one is tried by being drawn out and enticed by his own desire. That isn't bold type. I'm also realizing I need a drop of that dude from the Elder video saying, that isn't bold type. The Clone Wars guy. That is similar to my Clone Wars impression. War! Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker are flying to the planet Mustafar to stop Ahsoka from doing a sacred dance. I lost it. Hey, if anybody's got a spare rod, let me know. Jehovah feels sick if you hit the stick. And you know that if it rhymes, then it works. Then it's true. Have Jehovah's Witnesses considered adding more rhymes to their work? Okay, so this is actually a very demented article that frankly could not come at a worse time for them now that they're undergoing allegations of psychological violence. Because, yeah, this article is that basically the whole time. You know, they're comparing the urge to masturbate to the disciples failing to stay awake when Jesus, like on the night he died and they fell asleep because it was like 2 a.m.
If I'm masturbating, I'm not falling asleep.
Not until after. Well, maybe, Christina brings up a good point. Maybe they fell asleep because they had just finished masturbating. This video is going to be demonetized, by the way. So we appreciate the super chats. Just sinking in with me now. Definitely, it's going to be dubious. I don't care. Ironically, I have cursed the least amount I've maybe ever have on a stream, but it is way filthier than any previous stream. So, yeah, you wanting to blow off some steam is the same exact crisis of Jesus' disciples failing to keep on the watch when Jesus was arrested. My God. We cannot afford to be overconfident. True, we are determined to let nothing turn us away from Jehovah, yet we are also imperfect and vulnerable to temptation. Without warning, we could find ourselves in circumstances that make this wrong course seem very appealing. To remain loyal to Jehovah and his Son, we need to follow Jesus' counsel to keep on guard against the temptation to sin. Insane. Do you know in which areas you are most easily tempted? That is in bold type. It does us no good to fool ourselves by denying our weaknesses or concluding that we are too strong to fall into wrongdoing. No, you are weak. You are weak. You are. Admit it, says the Watchtower. Once we have identified those areas in which we are most susceptible to temptation, what should we do? Strengthen our resistance. To illustrate, in Bible times, the most vulnerable part of a city was its gates. Therefore, the gates were the most heavily guarded. Similarly, we need to give counsel. Nope. Similarly, we need to give special attention to any areas in which we know that we are especially weak. Good God. So they do the thing of reading 2 verses and making a whole thing out of it, out of the passage in the Bible where a guy had sex because he went down a hooker hallway. No, it wasn't a hallway. Alley. So they talk about that. What they do is really annoying. It's like, so this story in Proverbs is like a young man, he sees a harlot waving at him on the porch step, and now, I'll let Watchtower tell the rest of the story. Next, when he saw the woman, he did not turn away. Instead, he accepted her kiss and listened as she spoke of the communion sacrifices she had offered, perhaps in an attempt to make him think that she was not a bad person. Just very creepy, but let us take note that he accepted her kiss. Now, it takes 2 to tango, of course, but not in Watchtower's opinion. And if you watch the leaked judicial videos, you know that Lucy Conduct, we might as well call her, she was a manipulative, worldly woman. And here, too, in the old Proverbs, kisses are being given and accepted. Had the young man avoided the dangers that led up to the sin, he would have guarded himself from the temptations and from the sin. It's just like you have perfect control of your thoughts all the time. It's really creepy. Sorry, I'm kind of blurring past some of this stuff. We need to avoid not only the sin itself, but also the steps that lead to the sin. Yes, we need to guard ourselves from sin by keeping far away from the circumstances that lead to it. This might include avoiding certain situations or activities that are not off limits for Christians in general, but that are known to lead us into temptation. And this is the creepy stuff, where we get into this ability to, like, they're telling you to think about elephants, or not think about elephants. We must guard our thinking. Oh, wait, I was doing a good Sam Hurd last week. Let's see if I can do it. Sean Connery. I could just do a generic one. Oh, that's terrible. My, voice is in a little bit of a higher register. To give you a little preview of how things are going, second channel stuff, I was singing this morning for a video and blew my voice out. So we're going in quite a different direction from Outworldly for some of these bits. We must also guard our thinking. Some believe that there is nothing wrong with fantasizing about improper desires, so long as an individual does not act on them. But such thinking is wrong. A person who dwells on wrong desire intensifies the desire. In a sense, he creates a temptation, which he will now have to resist. Of course, wrong thoughts will at times come into our mind. The key is to reject these thoughts immediately and replace them with good ones. This actually needs to have the baby music underneath it. The key is to reject these thoughts and immediately replace them with good ones. When we do, we keep wrong thoughts from growing into a powerful desire that is hard to fight, and that might even lead to us committing a serious sin. Creepy. Very creepy. So the idea of wrong thoughts is insane. I think we all know that, there are probably some things that are, will be unhealthy to think about, but just telling people that their thoughts are wrong, that their fantasies are wrong, is bad. And yeah, they are specifically going to speak out against fantasies. Oh, wait, they did. I just wasn't paying attention to what I was saying because I was being Sam Hurd. Yeah. Fantasizing about improper desires. Sorry. If you have an imagination and a libido of any kind, you're going to have wrong thoughts just flying into your head like an infestation of gnats, and you just have to be swatting them away constantly. Now I'm just lifting stuff directly from Not a Cult. This picture is so ridiculous. No, so this is the path to destruction. We need to avoid anything that is likely to lead to temptation. So here's what we're seeing. If you are sitting on the couch late at night, and you got bags under your eyes, and you're leaning in a slightly lascivious fashion, it might be because you're horny, so stop it. Turn the channel off. Now, our friend is at work, wearing one of these bougie hiking vests. I can't think of the word for him. He's checking out some lady's ass. We can use curse words that are in the Bible. And then, because he looked at her butt one time, he was able to go on a date with this person. And now, they are well dressed and looking attractive and drinking alcohol, which could lead to a most horrific outcome. Emphasis on cum. Sex. And how terrible would it be? Like, what here, to like normal people, well, you can just remove this first panel because it doesn't have anything to do with anything. Like, hey, okay, this guy is sad. He is single and lonely. And so he's just spending all of his nights watching TV. But then at work, he notices that he's got this beautiful coworker. Why not ask her out on a date instead of spending his nights by himself? And look, he did, and they're having a great time together. And they're just laughing, and nobody's getting hurt. But no, that's actually not the lesson of those three pictures. It's a slippery slope. And next, you know what he's going to slide into? That's right. Now, contrast that with this very normal and healthy picture. Very, very healthy. Lifelessly reading the daily text. Lifelessly reading the Bible on your phone on the jw.org app. Lifelessly reading the Bible and meeting workbook. And so he's alone again, which is good. Now he's happy. Now that he doesn't have a girlfriend anymore, and who might have not even been a girlfriend, could have just been a nice coworker who they got drinks. No, he just has no one now. He has his little books full of the same few scriptures, and he gets to raise his hand, hopefully not a half-raised chub, hopefully the full stretch towards God. The higher the hand, the closer it is to heaven. And that'll really make him happy. Good, so it's great. Great article. It's really insane. I don't know if I can handle this, to be perfectly honest, because I have to pee. I really do. I hate to say that. I really could have said it in a more professional way. I could have said use the restroom. But when that happens, we have to go and have the awkward silence where the streamer goes to the bathroom.
Have you ever been confronted by a bad report, a false report about Jehovah's people? Angry? Did God really say that? Now that was a lie. Satan here's one.
That's so insane. It's so insanely long. All right. Here we go. You know Seth is a player? Yeah. I'll bet. Let's see. Once I learned of JW couples, I started writing fanfics of dating the women. Like Jade and Nita. They were all Yuri fanfics. Oh my god, my voice So, a couple things here. Pornography. Actually, we might have to... I think I know what cooldown we're going to do after this little segment here. So, you know what I want to do first? I want to see if pornography is mentioned more times than Jesus. Let's see. Jesus. Oh, 10 times? What? That's never happened in the history of the Watchtower. All right, fair enough. You know, when they get a win, they get a win. I'm fair and balanced on this show. Okay. I wanted to talk about this before we move on to the next section. They're like... First of all, this is a completely absurd standard to hold people to. Likely, we can rid ourselves completely of some imperfect tendencies. But we might find that other inclinations continue to give us trouble. Yeah, you can probably completely rid of yourselves of like most of your sins. Consider the case of the Apostle Peter. Actually, that's not important. We might find ourselves in a similar situation. How? A tendency that we thought we had put behind us might return to tempt us again. For example, one brother admits, I resisted pornography for 10 years and convinced myself that my problem was over, but the addiction was lying dormant, waiting for the right circumstance to rear its ugly head. Commendably, he did not give up. He realized that he would need to put forth a daily effort to resist this vice, perhaps for the rest of his life, in this system of things. With the help of his wife and his congregation elders, he took stronger measures to resist pornography. My tongue got tied there at the end, but you get it. Absolutely bananas. You don't say. You know, he never did invite me to talk. He never did respond, as far as I know, to the video I made. But hey, I will take that compliment. So here's the thing. Like, I was like this kid who, well, you know, just like a normal kid. I wanted to be a horny teenager. And really, I understand that, like, it could be a complicated subject because, like, people can get addicted to pornography in a really unhealthy way. That's true. Let's take that as a given for anything that, like, anything. You can have an unhealthy relationship with literally anything, right? And there are ways to just enjoy it, and it's no big deal. But when you make it a big deal, and when you make it this grand cosmic affront to our Lord God Jehovah, then it just makes it scarier. It becomes this forbidden thing, which for some people makes it even more like appealing, or it's just in your head anyway all the time, because now when you have a fantasy, you can't just have that little moment to yourself. You have to go, no, I'm going to say a prayer and get my dick in order with the power of Holy Spirit. And if you have a fantasy that lasts longer for 5 hours, consider calling a circuit overseer. And it just creates a shame spiral, because then when inevitably you give in, then you feel like you have just, like, murdered somebody. Like, you just feel the most, like, panicked, shame, awful feeling, like you're keeping this horrible secret, you're worthless, and, like, it just completely ruins your life. Having that kind of approach, and, like, if you're someone who's left the witnesses and is trying to do this no-fap stuff, like, it's the same thing. Don't do it. Like, don't just have a healthy relationship with the things in your life. That's it. You know, is this something that you can get under control? If not, maybe give it up. But if you're not hurting anybody, then maybe it's not a huge deal. I just hate the kind of shame and purity culture. It's really awful. Like, as easy as it was to recall some good memories of my grandfather earlier, I also have many kind of scary memories of my parents confronting me about stuff like this that, I've got a little PTSD over. So that's weird. It just seems crazy to me that they're still talking about masturbation and pornography and this stuff in the Watchtower. Like, I just feel like if they had any sense at all, they would just let it slide. Let it be a thing that they just don't talk about anymore. And, like, maybe you can discourage pornography. But this causes them so many problems that they don't need to have. But I think that's the important thing about it is, like, it's not strategic. Like, they're doing this because it's about control. It's not about what is best for them. It's not about what's most healthy and reasonable. It's about what are these 9 dudes' individual interpretations of pornography that they will then kind of use post hoc rationalization to justify as this is what the Bible says on it. The Bible says that pornea is a thing, and that means this. Sorry, that kind of got away from me, but I think you know what I'm saying. What am I looking for here? I wanted to look for a classic, quite frankly. All right, good deal. I found it. It might let you post YouTube links. I won't be able to click on them, though. It just doesn't let me in my feed click on it. But if you are on a desktop setup, you can. Sometimes it doesn't like links. I don't know. It seems inconsistent. Like, people have done it before, but I can never really tell. All right. If you're not aware, and statistically speaking, you are not, I did make an Awkward Silence supercut and upload it to the JW Poopcasting. Subscribe to this. If you go to my channel information, like the Altworldly channel information, the links to this and the Sunday service feed are there. So just subscribe to those, especially because in a couple weeks, Sunday service will only be over there. Maybe I'll make a community post about it on Altworldly, but yeah. Trying to clean some things up, but talking about that article made me think of this guy. Made me think of this little buddy right here.
Has been...
And I don't know, I haven't watched this in a long time, so I don't. let's.
As has been mentioned, our scripture for today.
Oh, hang on. What am I doing?
1 Peter 5.
I can make this full screen, by golly.
As has been mentioned, our scripture for today, 1 Peter 5:14, 10:14, 4:42, chapter 4, beginning in verse 2, it says pornography is appropriate. It's the war between pornography in our mind and pornography in our flesh. And it's interesting. Can you imagine being able to come to legislate action or conduct? And of course, pornography in our mind is trying to legislate that we act according to Jehovah's thinking. But of course, Satan's law in our flesh is trying to come inside of us, selfishly, fleshly. And it is an intense trying to overpower. A grandfather was talking to his grandson. And I really like that thought, that it is an intense dick trying to overpower. A grandfather was talking to his grandson and dominate and control how we act. And only if we fight hard will we come deeper like Jehovah and Jesus. Now, the Apostle Paul...
That's pretty good. That was okay. I think I've come a long way. Not my best work. This is like really early days. I'm pretty sure this is my first attempt at doing a YouTube poop. We've improved. Oh, wait. Okay. I'm just doing this as like a little fun corner before I go into the Gage Flegel of it all, because I don't know, I'm enjoying these longer streams. I hope other people are too. But I still have a whole other segment I want to get into. And that is about the governing body update, because it is a nothing burger in terms of like new light, but It's got something that's, I think, worth talking about. So I want to do that. God damn it. What did I want to pull up? Oh, yeah. Well, I want to show the creepy awkward silent supercut that I made. Do a little director's commentary. What a treat. What a treat for the fans that'll be. Behind the scenes look at a JW YouTube poop that was watched by 35 people. No, okay, so this is okay. This is an okay edit. I tried to do some different stuff, but I just wanted to play a little bit of it. Oh yeah, I guess I gotta put it on the screen. If you got headphones on, this is a good one.
This is JW Gastrodding. We're not unfeeling robots.
Okay. So if people don't know, I don't know how clearly it comes through my intention, but like the awkward silence supercut really is just me stitching together every single awkward silence in the thing, mostly in order. Like for the most part, I just do it chronologically, but sometimes they like I'll notice a runner, like him having JW speakers do this. They'll say like peace and like really extend the scriptures, Christ. Like they'll like do a little delay and then the S. It's very strange. And so I think I strung a lot of those together in a row as a kind of montage. That's what's going on here. These are good. This is a good video. I don't care what anyone says. Okay, so I don't know how I feel about this, but I did cheat a little bit in this. I think in this one little bit where he grabs the card. That. Okay, so that him picking up the card was not actually silent. I think he was just fumbling with it while talking, and I just thought it was funny. Okay, so yeah, this is the Twin Peaks low roar. Shout out to any blank check fans who are watching David Lynch for the first time. Okay, so whatever. I do this creepy bullshit. This, I was kind of happy with how this last part turned out, though.
Nothing.
I forgot about that. That part's kind of funny. Let's see.
You are not alone.
That's the part I like. That's the part I like. I did this in the JD Vance edit I did, and I think it's really funny. Sorry, I don't know. What? I make them to be funny. But like doing a freeze frame on their face and then zooming in and then fading out of the freeze frame is very funny. I mean, it's not like I invented it or something. I just stole it from other funny edits. Hey, thanks, Anthony, for a $10 super chat. Finally caught a live stream of the Sunday service. I promise I will get to more relevant content here after I finish doing some of that masturbating we were talking about earlier by just laughing at my own videos. Thanks for all you do, Jake. Love the channel, brother. Former JW here. Appreciate it, Anthony. I sincerely thank you. And our rent's due tomorrow, so we do appreciate it. Oh, I just did a southern accent, and that reminds me. Fuck it. Maybe we won't talk about the governing body update. Maybe I could talk about... I could do the Q&A. I could do the AMA questions. Maybe I could do a poll after this. Because we've got options. We already talked about triggering stuff, and the governing body update is about blood. I pulled some clips to kind of juxtapose what Gage Flegel says in that governing body update with things they say elsewhere on the website, such as, we are determined to refuse blood, you know? Poop theocratic warfare. Yeah, so just Vic Berger, really. Which, by the way, oh my god, if you want to see some great shit, Vic Berger. He made a supercut that I'm absolutely obsessed with. It's amazing. Of all the times that Donald Trump says the late great Hannibal Lecter, and it's truly one of the most funny and upsetting things I've ever seen. It's great.
Ho, ho, ho.
I'm just entertaining myself here.
Watchtower said nothing. Pray.
Okay. The little, like, the weird kind of jolts in the sizes of those images is because I really was just, like, those were the real awkward pauses
You are
while they
not
were showing the
alone.
pictures. Like, they just left the pictures up like that with no one saying anything for a long
Ho,
time.
ho, ho.
It just seemed kind of creepy to keep them up there. Especially the way it changes size for kind of no reason.
Watchtower said nothing. Praised be Jehovah God, the protector of alcohol, and in the end, drugs.
Guys, if you endure 3 minutes and 40 seconds of unwatchable, pretentious, Lynchian bullshit, you'll get a couple funny little jokes in there.
We
Suffer and die.
Our music video beautifully sums up nothing.
Okay, so this, I liked how this turned out. This is crazy with headphones, by the way. Yeah. Great. Okay. So, sorry. I started to get mesmerized. I need to pack another bowl. I do. Thank you to Ms. Tara Biara. Probably didn't say that right. Love the Sunday stream. Some laughs, some bonding with Ashley Tubbs and Peach. Okay, so what this is, like, this is the real music video. Obviously, except for the, like, bubble thing that I did on some of them. And it's the real music from the music video. I'm going to pull it up jw.org so you can just hear for a second what it really sounds like. I won't play the whole thing, so as to not trigger anybody. What is it? JW Broadcasting. Wait, yeah, okay. So, all right, let's get to. Kind of weird vibes. Fuck, I had it sped up. That's why it sounded so weird. So I tried that, and it was silly, but not spooky. So they're doing some. Yeah, okay. So they're doing like some rip-off Father John Misty nonsense. And then this. And so I took the real song and just fucked it up so much that it rendered it to this kind of demonic, haunting drone that I liked. And that weird, like, huh, is from a Panda Bear song. The artist Panda Bear, not a song written by the animal Panda Bear. This would have been good. Yes, when he looks for the door. Okay, so I know this guy in real life. We used to go to the same hall, and we would see him at conventions and assemblies all the time. They've been in more videos more often. Him and his wife are very nice. I think I worked with him in parking, actually. Good man, but unfortunately, he's an elder, so he's, you know, you gotta read him the riot act. That part I really liked. Okay, I'm sorry. It's so indulgent and stupid. I don't know why I made this. I was in a really, like, sad and dour mood. Anyway, it's a real mystery as to why that one didn't catch on. Oh, you knew an extra in the Jade and Nita videos. Very interesting. Okay, so what would we prefer? Governing body updates and mostly talking about blood stuff, or do we want AMA questions? I guess the real way to do this, like an adult who really knows how to stream, would be to see it on YouTube. A real Inception thing is happening here while I keep on seeing myself just slightly in the past. AMA, please. All right, here we go. We're gonna do poll. And I would say whatever we don't do today will just be either on next week's stream or a future video. AMA or GB update. Alrighty then. Here we go. So, Bad News Al from the Prodigal movie. Oh my god, Bad News Al. I thought it was so... I'll just say it. BS. That they changed the character's name from Bad News Al on the stage production to just Al in the film version. I thought they should have kept that. AMA, all right. That's what the chat's saying. Early votes coming in. AMA winning out. 57. Oh, let's see. 60. Oh my god. It really won't let me see the poem. Okay. Well, we'll do the governing body update at a later time. Oh, maybe I'll do a midweek stream. It's actually really fun to see them come in, and then the little bar, the percentage bar, shifts. It's the little things in life, everybody. Okay, so we're going to do the AMA. And that means that we're going to go to the... What are they on? Posts. Okay. And this way, they can turn into a group discussion. I guess, by this definition, I might have to... I'll snip this segment and make it a main channel vid. Maybe I'll edit it down a little bit, I guess. We'll see. Okay, because I made a post when I hit 17,000. $17,000. Holla. I got some good ones. I also have to pull up Patreon because patrons get first dibs. First dibs. Also, here's a question. Does it show my members only posts? It did. Only one member commented, which is quite shameful. Well, let's read this one. This is a member. Sorry, paying customers get priority. I'm going to... I think I should switch it to that. Oh, is that weird? The answer is yes, it is. But why? Why is it weird? I don't know. Why is this a strange thing? Is it liminal? Okay. So, this is Pomo Sapien, a fantastic username. Jake, you're my favorite ex-JW YouTuber, and you're hilarious, but also I find your videos comforting, especially when I'm feeling sad about being shunned by my PME siblings. Thank you so much for saying that. I am gonna try not to get all misty-eyed. As a fellow ex-JW and member of the LGBTQ plus community, lesbian, I would love to hear about how being raised in the environment of the JW cult impacted you, and if you feel any internalized homophobia now. Thanks for all your work, and please keep making videos and live streams. Thank you so much for those kind words. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad that you find the videos helpful. Yeah, homophobia I don't talk about as much as other things. Like I don't know. I guess I probably pound for pound talk about it more than other channels, but I don't know. It kind of feels like I should talk about it more. God damn it! Some kind of horrible nightmare happened in my head. I'll tell you what it is. I put a hat on. I put a hat on earlier when I took Peach out because it was drizzling a little bit. And it's just if you put one hat on your head for 1 second, you're screwed. You're just screwed. Your hair's not going to be the same for the rest of the day. So, okay, how it impacted me and if I feel any internalized homophobia now. Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of how it impacted me, I did have a lot of just shame and confusion as a member. I'm bi, so I think I didn't even feel like I had the language for that. Like, I didn't know that that's what was happening. Like, I just thought I had some weird bonus kinks in addition to being into women, and yet nonetheless, like there's a lot of repressed homoeroticism in the group, and I had like homoerotic experiences with young brothers, some of whom are in Bethel and maybe in a video, maybe even not directly. I just know, listen, things are weird. Things are weird sometimes when you're a sexually repressed teenager. But yeah, no, it was really confusing because seemingly everybody that I knew, let's take the queer part out of it. Like everybody's lying a little bit when it comes to masturbation and maybe even pornography use. Although I'm willing to bet that there are a lot of witnesses who really do just never watch it, and maybe they peek once and feel really ashamed about it. But I don't know, like pretty much every dude that I knew had watched a fair amount of pornography. If you got a couple drinks in them and got them to talk and show them your dick, which I what can I say? I entertained many, sirs. I'm trying to remember that John Mulaney quote. I've totally lost the thread here. I definitely... The internalized homophobia, yes, I do. I also have, generally speaking, a weird... I think... And I'm saying this, like, I'm not trying to be silly, but, like, misandry? Like, misandry? Like, I have man issues. I do. I think just because my dad is a very macho kind of man's man, guy's guy, who is a very repressed person himself, and he's got a bit of a temper, not violent, but scary, and so I have issues with men. I don't like being around them, and I'm doing better. Some of my best friends are men, but I had a weird, like, I don't know, kind of getting over a process when I was trying to think of, like, well, why haven't I, why don't I go to more just, like, gay bars and stuff, right? Without getting into anything too personal, I realized, like, I don't feel safe around men. I don't feel safe around men. I don't. Like, every time I've had those kind of experiences, it's with somebody, like, I know and trust a lot as a friend, so it's definitely continued to haunt me, not in terms of feeling shame for that anymore. I definitely don't. But I do feel, I don't know. What do I feel? I don't know. I'm scared. Now I'm scared. I think it's like trying to figure out... I'm sorry that I keep starting the sentence the same way and then never finding an answer. Whatever. I don't know what my thing is. I don't like hate men. I'm not man hate, like one of those guys who's like super performatively talking about how men suck all the time, which I find can be a real deflecting tactic for guys who are genuinely problematic. It was literally just like on an interpersonal level, I don't feel safe around like groups of men, like in the same way that I do feel safe around groups that have like queer men and women and non-binary people and trans people. Like that kind of variety I find comforting. Whereas I don't like a lot of the traditional male stuff. It's not even that I just don't connect with it. It's like it gives me a genuinely negative reaction. So I don't know. I'm trying to unpack it, and I think it comes from I don't even really know how to articulate it. So I'm glad that you asked that question, Homo sapien, because it's a good one. I think the answer is clearly yes. I do have some kind of internalized homophobia, but I don't know what it is. I don't understand. I don't know how to exactly articulate it. But I wouldn't say that I feel shame. I think it's just like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't really know what to do with this part of myself yet because, like how much does it matter? How much does it even matter? I think in my ideal future, this kind of stuff wouldn't matter. So maybe I should talk about it less and just kind of like have it be a tossed off thing. Like, yeah, this is also a thing about me. I don't know. Like it's just not the thing I think about most in life. Okay, well, that was a good question. That resulted in a fruitful exchange of words. Where my AMA thing? Okay, so to share this tab instead, there was a Patreon comment from Dawn. Survivor reference. Dawn. So Don Williams, I feel like this might have been asked before, but what piece of media, book, game, film, etc., had a lasting effect on you? Okay, I do still need to do a video about this because it's such a fun realm. I'm going to try and think of ones that might not be immediately obvious. What do I have on my bookshelf? Do I have that fucking book up there? Oh, I'm going to be so sad if I don't have it still. Oh, I know, Bo. I know. I was trying to see if I could just grab one of these. Okay. I've got one that I've kept for a long time. It's kind of like a keepsake. It was given to me by a elementary school teacher of mine that was really influential. So I'm going to try and say some things that like you might not think about. Like I obviously talk about Star Wars and like Lost and The Leftovers and stuff on the channel. And I have talked about Community, I know. But let's do one of each for this. For this question, Don wanted to know pieces of media, book, game, film, etc., that had a lasting effect on me. Okay. So in terms of books, the one that came to mind, let me just try and just pull this up. Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to pull up a picture of this book. It's an amazing old sci-fi book. Oh, right, I have to share a different thing. All right, so this is the version that I had. Baby, open image in new tab. Oh, great, it's a great scan. Full 240p. Okay, so this is The White Mountains by John Christopher. This is a book that was given to me by my 4th grade elementary school teacher in Mill Valley, Ohio, Mrs. Cochran. And Mrs. Cochran ended up dying of cancer, which is very sad. And I think it was brain cancer. I say this because I think like she started to have this really scary erratic behavior before we all knew that she was sick. And it seemed to like then she had cancer and then she passed away pretty quickly. So she was my favorite teacher, and then I had this kind of weird thing where like everybody in the class saw her become like super different, and it was scary. And then we moved to Columbus, where I still live now. But anyway, my 4th grade teacher was hugely influential to me, and she knew that I loved writing and reading and sci-fi, and so she gave me this book that I'd never heard of before. And the book is a sci-fi thingy. It's about this post-apocalyptic town, or like futurist society town. There's some vestiges of our human world. But every boy in town, I believe it also happens to women, but definitely the young boys, when they become young men at a certain age, one of these tripods comes to town and reaches down and lifts up the person, draws it in, and the person gets a cap. There is a capping ceremony. The person literally has like their brain like taken out and replaced, right? So all you know is the story like, oh, it's the capping ceremony, and then you realize, oh my god, the capping ceremony is this tripod coming down and taking this guy, right? And so the story starts out, it's this close friendship between these two kids, and the one of them knows, one's a little older, so he's about to have his capping ceremony. He's nervous for the next day. And so we see that transition between his friend being just like a normal young man, and then after he is once again lowered by the tripod with a shaved head, he is just this drone, right? He's just kind of this working drone. And so the story is about the young kid who saw this happen to his friend escaping from this town and going on an adventure to stop the tripods. But you can see that brainwashing from a young age was a really fascinating concept to me. That's that one piece of art I've got on the wall, this blue one. You can see I drew this thing. It's like people getting their brains taken out on an assembly line. I drew that like my freshman year in high school. That was one of the pieces I did for art class. And it was part of this. Like, it's crazy looking back at that imagery because it seems like XJW stuff. Like, this feels like an XJW story that like you get baptized and then you're stuck in this group. And it's funny that I was really into books like this and Brave New World and things where everybody is kind of drugged and brainwashed. Freudian. Okay. As far as video games go, I think this is a good question in terms of, because I'm thinking stick with me in terms of in terms of XJW journey, but if it doesn't mean that, then I've got a lot of answers. So maybe I'll talk about a game I haven't talked about on here before. I would say, okay, tripod, you've done your work. So yeah, I've still got my version of that somewhere with my teacher's handwriting in there. She gave it to me when I moved because she knew that I was into it. BioShock. BioShock's a great example. Okay, actually, for me, BioShock Infinite was the one that stuck with me as an XJW. BioShock Infinite has, much like the first BioShock, has a lot of religious undertones. And it's this kind of, without getting into it too much, like BioShock is a video game. Oh, I guess I can pull up pictures of that too. BioShock Infinite. Concept art. Yeah, let's look at just like concept art of BioShock Infinite. Come back here. Okay, so it's this idyllic American city, I think in the year like 1911 or something. Like, it's really early in the Americas. It's these floating cities in the sky. I mean, here's a really good picture of it. Open image in new tab. I think in one of the Art Worldly episodes, I showed a one of the propaganda posters because it was similar to something in the Revelation book, maybe? I don't know. But this is what Columbia looks like, this floating city in the sky. And there's this, crazy mystery that leads you, up, shot out of a cannon, and end up in this sky world. And it's kind of like, it is that puzzle box mystery storytelling where, like, you don't really know what the hell's going on, and you kind of have to slowly uncover things through environmental storytelling and stuff like that. So it's very twisty and turny. But one thing that the game is definitely about is religious extremism and cults and the incredibly racist past of religion and colonialism and like holy wars and stuff. And the imagery that it uses is based in the what would you call it? It's not the Enlightenment. It's the it's like the millenarian movements that caused Jehovah's Witnesses in the first place. I'm trying to find some of this stuff. Can't I? Am I wrong that Google Images has become vastly worse for some reason? I just can never find anything. Sorry, yeah, I wanted to find some of the actual... Okay, here. What are they called? The false shepherd? Look at that thing. Okay, so, like... You go to a church... like, the bad guy of the game is this cult leader... Oh, shit. Okay, here's... Let me pull up this other thing. Here we go. This kind of thing, right? You shall know the false shepherd by his mark. It looks like old-timey Charles Taze Russell posters, doesn't it? The tower protects the lamb from the false shepherd. The false shepherd seeks only to lead our lamb astray. And this image in particular, I would say, really stuck with me. First of all, the game stuck with me because I'm just a huge fan of, like, twisty time loop stuff. I think it's really fun. And this intersected so much with, like, the actual religious imagery of my own religion. It's crazy. So this really stuck with me. This game kind of has a mixed reputation. I kind of disagree. Like, I understand on principle, but kind of disagree in execution, if that makes any kind of sense. I just replayed it recently. Holds up. It's great. Very jingoistic culture with smatterings of 18th century American South. Yeah. Oh, the first one is Second Great Awakening is exactly what I was thinking of. Oh, God. Sorry about the camera doing its thing. I'll try to stop leaning so much. But yeah, the first Bioshock's that way too. I think the difference between the first Bioshock and the second, and the third one, which is Bioshock Infinite, is like, you know, the first Bioshock is deconstructing the very secular Ayn Randian, individualism, right? The kind of, or objectivism, I should say, and kind of taking that philosophy to its extreme to create this post-apocalyptic society. And so it's very secular in sci-fi, and having the religion in sci-fi mix is what really, really hit me about Bioshock Infinite. And it felt like this thing that I had been trying to write as a Jehovah's Witness that was a sci-fi thing, but I was a witness, so I wasn't allowed to use magic, and obviously I wasn't going to use my own religion. I felt like this is actually kind of similar to what I've been thinking about in my head, but they're like, this religious element is what makes it work. What does that say about my interest in this thing? That didn't make any sense, and I'm sorry, but that's the game. And then movie, that's a tough one. That's really tough. Movies that might have stuck with me. I loved... I started to see rated R movies of my own volition. Like, I just stopped caring. I think it started with, like, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, maybe, because Oh, fuck. Yes, of course. Thank you. Thank you. The Village. Great, great choice. So we just rewatched this, actually. The other week I was in a M. Night mood. Even though I haven't seen his new movie. Honestly, I know that it'll be just, like, campy, pulpy silliness like his other movies. But it takes place at a concert. And I know probably the whole thing doesn't. But man, when we went to that Vampire Weekend concert, it legitimately terrified my... Like, I was anxious the whole time. Because there's been this violence in Springfield, Ohio recently, and like there's always these things that happen at concerts. So I haven't seen that movie, but The Village, I rewatched recently. You know, it's got its aspects that maybe don't hold up awesome in Year of Our Lord 2024. But okay, so here's my take on The Village, right? So The Village was hated a lot by film critics at the time because they felt like the twist that the town really existed in the modern day was basically this they were dead the whole time ending that invalidated the rest of the movie. I never believed that. And first of all, like it's a story that was based on real people who really did something like that. The Foxcatcher family from that Steve Carell movie, I think, right? But I think the movie works much better on rewatch when you know that it is not a movie about monsters. It is a movie about religious leaders who, in order to retain control of the innocence of this community, they have to terrify them with made up stories about monsters and do these rituals where they have to remind people to be afraid of them every once in a while. You know, like the twist that people don't like about it, in my opinion, is like the thing that I really like about it. And there are elements of it that I can totally understand people not being on board with, like Adrian Brody's choices he's making. But I don't know. I think that it kind of makes sense, to be honest. Like, people in those environments don't get good medical attention and mental health attention. They don't get the kind of services they need. So the fact that you have this kind of like developmentally stunted person in a vague way, like it's playing into sort of unfortunate movie stereotypes of mentally disabled people. But I also think like I feel like the reason why they were trying to do that is because that genuinely is a problem in those kinds of tiny communities where people like that who do have special needs like aren't having those needs met because they have to conform to this rigid society, and they're not going to make exceptions for them, and that can be really frustrating. So okay, that was a good question. Now those were the paid questions, so I spent more time talking about them. But let's go through a few more before I have to sign off and make myself do actual work. Let's do... Adrian Brody is key to the theme. You can't escape the world because jerks exist. You still have to deal with reality. Yeah, you can't actually. Like, paradise that demands exclusion, it's not true paradise. That kind of thing. Like, you can't actually get away from human behavior. And, like, the beauty of that character arc, like, as an arc, I think, is, like, they ended up creating a real monster. Like, the monsters were fake. They were a tool the religious leaders were using to stoke fear into the townspeople so that they wouldn't fall out of line. And in the process of doing that, somebody got wise to this and realized that they could manipulate people the exact same way and put on a monster costume and start wreaking havoc. Like, they create this monster from within because they're all victims of victims. And I think that part of the story, too, is really clever, that there are people who basically, they're like these wealthy, rich people who met in this, grief counseling thing. They all had a lot of money and were like, well, let's go back to a better time. And like Mooney is saying, the leaders were romanticizing a period of time in the past when they imagine things were better, but the problem stays. Exactly like today with certain people romanticizing a fictional 1950s America. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. You can't, and you also can't bring back that part of the past without bringing all of its problems with it. Like, to also talk about the 1950s. Sorry. Okay, I'm getting off track again. Let me reverse this. Congratulations. What's your take on whether we should actively try to wake up PME family? For or against, and reasons. Okay, I'm going to try and go through a couple of these, and then I just realized it's been almost 3 hours, and I'm probably going to have to end the stream before too terribly long. Okay, so on whether you should actively try to wake up Pee Wee Family, all of the books say that and by that I mean like Terror, Love, and Brainwashing, which I've got beside me there, or Stephen Hassan's books. Although I think he has delved into more aggressive territory that I don't necessarily agree with. But most of the modern research that I see is that the most important thing you can do, like the most helpful thing that you can do as the sane person who is not in a cult, is just let them know that you are there and there is a world outside of that group. Like, check in on them, remind them that you exist. Because they do forget that the outside world exists. I don't think that you can actively change people's minds. What have the past 10 years been, if not a testament to that? Like, people are, 65% more likely to hold on to an existing position that they've taken that might be wrong than to change their mind. Like, we're more likely to conform to our biases than we are to change our mind. Everybody. That is human nature. So when you are also in this controlling environment, it just compounds itself. So I think everybody's circumstances are totally different, and there's no one-size-fits-all approach. Like, I sent my dad a letter really outlining everything that I was feeling, using the Bible primarily at the time, right? And this was probably 20 pages. But he never wrote me back, right? But I don't know how much of it he read, but if he read any of it, I'm sure it's going to stick with him, just like stuff stuck with me that I wasn't supposed to see as a witness. And I think the best thing is just living well. Like, living well is the best revenge, to quote REM. And also, like, letting them know that, like, no, actually my life is normal. I am living a normal, happy life. That is contrary to what your assumptions are. I don't know. What do you think? Hey, look, that's a good point. I just have so much fun. It doesn't feel like work. Thanks to everybody who's stuck around, by the way. I appreciate you. It's going to be interesting transitioning over to, Sunday service exclusively. Oh, man, I got a cough again. But thank you, Robin Brooks, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Okay. What was your process like making friends outside the org? Oh. Well, I don't know. Like, my best friend was my best friend in 4th grade. We were best friends all throughout school. And obviously, I was a witness, and he understood that. And we weren't super close and kind of lost contact when he went to college, and I went to community college and pioneered and did witness stuff. But he was the first person that, like, we would still meet up when he would come back in town, and then he moved back, and we would meet up sometimes. But he was the first person that I went to when I was, like, realized that witnesses weren't true, and met up with him. And so he's been, we just fell right back into it. We've been best buddies ever since. And some of you know, if you follow me on Patreon, like, one of the stuff that I've been doing creatively, some of it's been with him, because we've always dreamed on collaborating on a kid's book. He's a great illustrator. It's what he does professionally. So I was definitely lucky in that I had a good connection with a friend. But what I'll say is I didn't know how it would be received, because it's not like we were super close. I think I was maybe worried that he would be resentful that I had chosen the religion all of those years over spending time with him. But that just wasn't it at all. And so it's definitely worth reconnecting with people. Like, obviously none of us, if we were, like, real rule followers, probably had very close friends. But it's worth reconnecting with people you went to school with, for sure. Forming new hobbies and stuff like that definitely helps to, like, just actually trying to make friends at work. That's a thing that I wasn't supposed to do as a witness. And so now I have to make an active effort to do it. But I have, and it's great. And it's really nice to have friends at work who we can, hang out outside of work. So I don't necessarily have any advice for making friends. I think that it is good to have people in your corner, like in a community like this, who understand. But it's so valuable too to have somebody who has no association with that. They do not have your trauma or baggage, because you can trauma bond off each other and kind of feed off each other sometimes. So I think, I don't know, but I'm also like, I am a more introverted person than you might expect. I like entertaining people. I like small groups of people that I know, but I don't like. Oh, that's really cute. Peach is being very cute. But I don't like crowds really, and I don't like. It's hard for me to make friends. I get socially anxious about it. Like if I have plans, it really freaks me out, and it's hard. Okay, I'm gonna save this one regarding the wifey because I know that she wanted to join me on this. I'm also going to save this one on narcissism discourse because I know Sarah Zed is going to drop this video on her channel. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, this person had a good question. I'm going to do like 3 more. Or, okay. Well, one of them has to be this. Matt Wilshire, right? Matt Wilshire. How did you deal with being out and seeing your partner still believing with what you had rejected? This is the life of a non-JW partner. Curious. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to make it go away. How did I deal with it? Well, I think that you have to, like, you're aware of what the stereotype of a worldly spouse is when you're an ex-JW, because you know exactly what that is. You know what the organization thinks you are like. And so it's useful to have, like, well, I'm not going to be that. I felt it was just complicated because for the first time there were, like, things we couldn't talk about. We just had to decide early on, like, we just can't talk about this stuff. And when we didn't, it was totally fine. And it was just on, meeting nights that maybe things would be a little tense or weird, but for the most part, it wasn't too bad. It really only was able to work because we made talking about religion off limits, but it was very hard because we used to talk about everything. And, I don't think that could have lasted forever, but we do love each other a lot and had figured out a way to communicate, and it was working. And I felt like, I don't know, I just felt pretty sure that Christina was going to wake up at some point. You know her, you love her, you can just see, you get it. I'm so sorry. Oh, by the way, I don't think I said who asked the question. Oh yeah, I did, because it was a super chat one. My bad. Let me do one of these. 1 minute elevator pitch sounds like a good challenge to end things on, so I want to come back to that. Okay. Dr. Buzz 319 asks, is your podcast ever coming back, or any plans for a new podcast? Okay, so no plans for second school. Ben and I we're really busy, and on different time zones, it's just hard. Like, Ben's, like, still in school, just thriving. If you follow him on social media, the guy's just out there living life. He's put JW stuff behind him. Like, he'll post every once in a while, but I think part of that show was kind of, it was like a school, and the idea was maybe you graduate that school. And so yeah, love Ben, miss him, wish I had opportunities to talk to him every week still. And we still do exchange DMs every now and again, but yeah, it just hasn't worked out with the timing and schedules and stuff. And me and Christina, do you want to do a podcast? We actually used to do one about Lost. And we did this when we were witnesses. I know, if you can believe it. It's been scrubbed from the internet, don't worry. We want to do it, but yeah, just with her being in school and then me working 2 jobs and trying to get the like books, stuff. There's just a lot going on. It made me to that. So basically nothing now, but I am trying to figure out more regular bonus content to put out. And one thing I could do is just unfinished scripts that I have that I don't have the energy to make into videos. I could just read them and release them as podcasts. Idea off the top of my head. Oh yeah, okay, so you can tell us about all of your creative endeavors outside of All Worldly. This is a good question. Oh, this is from Simply Lore, by the way. Oh, by the way, I wanted to shout out this comment here. That's what's preventing me from reaching out to school friends, is the guilt. I understand that, but also, like, I think most people just felt sorry for us. I don't think anybody felt anything other than, oh man, that would really suck to be in a family like that. And anybody who I've ever talked to about it has just thought it was awesome and was excited because they remembered me in school as a nice person who just wasn't able to do anything fun. So everybody that I've ever reached out to has been nice. And I've actually had a few people reach out to me from high school that like just saw the channel, like saw that I posted. Like, I watched your video. I didn't realize that this is your life. That's crazy. Okay, so all the creative endeavors outside of All World. I have spent the last week pretty much just writing. I just needed a break from being on a computer specifically, or editing and stuff. So I've got a really nice little group of scripts about the TV show Lost, and I don't know what I'm going to call the channel. I'm going to have to figure out that, but I've got a really fun approach that I'm going to take with these things. I think it fits, like, if you like the tone of this channel, you'll like it. But it's just kind of like super dorky, like literary analysis of the show. I'm not approaching it from like the lore, or like this plot hole doesn't make sense. Like, no, I want to explore like themes and stuff, but take the kind of lighthearted approach of this channel. So that, for some reason, is what I'm working on. I also, but what I don't know is if, like, okay, if I start releasing those and they take off, ideally I would be able to talk about other stuff eventually. Like, I've got Star Wars scripts that I'd like to do. So what I'm hoping is that channel can just kind of be my pop culture place to talk about video games and movies. But I kind of want to jump in with Lost because it's my favorite show. I think about it all the time. We're rewatching it again now. And so I've just been writing stuff while we watch. And I'm going to turn those into little videos. And I've got a couple that I think are really, really good. So this morning, one of the things I'm doing is insane. And I'm not going to say what it is. But I'm going to launch this channel with a bang. That's what I'm going to say. Very weird, very different. I don't know why I'm doing it, but I am. And it's going to be great. And then, yeah, I still, like, I want to do more edits. And I basically just haven't been able to figure out, like, man, should I just, like, JW poop casting? Wait, no, before we get to that, yes, okay, so video stuff, that's that. And when I make silly little edits, I'll post those wherever. The grander thing I've got is, like, these two novels, Not a Cult, which I'm such an idiot. I keep forgetting to change the actual release date on the Kindle thing. I will do it after this, so I don't forget. But, shit, is this still working? Because there is I'm getting no updates on chat for, like, 5 minutes. Oh, no. Let's look. Oh, okay. There are peeps. What the fuck was I saying? Okay, so I am cursing again. So I've got this adult horror novel, Not a Cult, which I'm gonna self-publish, but I had just sort of taken a break from it just because it is really triggering. And so I wanted to take a break from that and work on this other thing that I had spent last year trying to pitch to literary agents. I I got a lot of great feedback, and but I just couldn't sell it. And I got writing Not a Cult was really useful because I got more distance from it, and just also, you develop more as a writer. And then I looked back at my old draft that I was submitting, and I was like, this isn't good enough. Like, I can make this better. I think I know what wasn't working about it. Like, I think I know the thing that wasn't working, and why it wasn't selling. And I think I can fix it. And so I've been trying to do that, and it's been very fun. It's a middle grade, like, horror comedy, like spooky silly. And so that is where I have spent the lion's share of my time. Is like kind of generating ideas for children's book stuff. So like I've got a lot of middle grade horror comedy adjacent things that in various states of completion that I would love to do something with, but it might just be that nobody in the market is buying those. And so I gotta work on, I was like, well, I got this sci-fi thing. It's a cool idea. Like, it's got a good title. It's marketable. It's got a good hook. I should do that. And so, like, I'll just be drawing in my sketchbook, trying to work on, like, character designs, and kind of storyboard scenes. Just kind of like that. I tend to brainstorm with doodling for the, kids' books, and those two things kind of interchangeable. So yeah, I've got a few stories that I want to finish or that I want to work on, and I've just been trying to figure out how to prioritize what I'm doing. So I'm almost done with my big rewrite of Grimm, which I'm just super happy with. I'm like easily the thing I'm proudest of in terms of creativity ever. It's the most fun I've ever had. And it's been great to work with Bart on it too. It's just been a blast. So our hope is that we can get something going and be, kind of an author-illustrator duo. But I also like to do illustrations and stuff. So that's been going on. And then there's adult literature. So Not a Cult, I just basically needed a little break. I just needed a sanity break because it's turning out really well, I think. Like, I'm really happy with it. But it is, like, mining trauma to the point where it's, like, it's kind of a bad time. It's kind of a bad time writing it. And so I just needed a little break because I was starting to get depressed and dour. Like, when I'm writing something, like, I'm thinking about that thing all the time, and, like, the music I listen to is kind of informing the mood. So, like, I don't know, walking around listening to kind of, like, creepy horror soundtracks. I don't know. So I just needed a break. So that's going on. The reason why I'm trying to do stuff on YouTube is because, frankly, like, I spent all my life in a cult, and now, I have a day job, and it pays well, but it's, we're just like everybody in this country. Like, we're one missed paycheck away from being on the streets, and we want to be able to build something else. And so Christina's going to school, and she's not going to be a millionaire. She's going to be a social worker because that's been her passion and her dream. And same here. Like, I'm going for something that there's kind of not a guarantee of income, but I just kind of refuse to settle for less than, like, doing what I really want to do after spending my life in a cult. So I'm really determined to make something on YouTube that is like, I can quit my job and do content full time. Between this and whatever other stuff I build up, I think I can do it. And I think I've got a niche that I can fit well into, but you just don't know until you try. So I've also been kind of nervous about the failure of it. But yeah, I'm just rambling, but that's a lot. Okay, now let me move on from pretentious farting about my own stuff. Still interested in your 1-minute elevator pitch about why the org isn't the truth. Now, I don't know. This implies that they asked it before and that I failed to give them the 1-minute elevator pitch. So that's possible because I probably didn't get to all the questions last time I did an AMA. So this might have been asked before. All right, can we pull up a timer? I can pull up a timer like on my phone. What? Oh my god. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of Senate races need your attention and they need donations rushed as soon as possible. Every freaking time I open my phone. Okay. Stopwatch. I have not put any thought into this. But 60 seconds. Let's try. I'm going to hit start. Honor system. I'll show you the timer after we're done. Wait, what's the question? Let's get this clear in mind. About why the org isn't the truth. Okay. And go. Jehovah's Witnesses are not the truth because no religion that has ever said that has the truth has been correct. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that every other religion in the world is wrong, and every other religion in the world thinks that Jehovah's Witnesses are wrong. And so the most sensible explanation is that no religions are correct. That Jehovah's Witnesses don't have the truth because claiming to know the truth and to have the correct understanding of the Bible and to be divinely chosen is ridiculous. Anybody in history who has ever made that assertion has been, first of all, blurry from the camera, and second of all, I'm trying to get it to refocus, everybody who's ever said that in history has been wrong and has been dangerous, has been a scammer or a cult leader. So that's the kind of thing that people who trick people say, and so, yeah, I don't think it's true. I don't know. Okay, that was 59 seconds. I don't think that was a particularly good answer. I'm thinking now of the Matt Dillahunty brain, the Matt Dillahunty mind, and what I was saying is I don't think I really got to the heart of like, is it true itself, like debunking their truth claims, and I don't know if that would be a satisfying answer to a witness. And then Christina just said, like, truth is relative. And I think what witnesses would say to that is like, no, something is true or it's not. It's like, okay, I think you don't have the truth. I guess my little 60-second rant that I just did sort of was like rejecting the idea that there could be a truth at all. I don't know if that's like cheating. I don't know if that's like a logical fallacy or a sneaky maneuver, but that was my instinct. I'm just like, why would you believe that you have the truth? Haven't you seen movies? Everybody who's ever said that is wrong. What makes you think you're right? And so that's what I think. Let's see. I want to end with this question from Mariah, and then we'll get to more questions next time. The shit get deep in the God litter box. Great comment. Truth stands up to investigation. Oh, that's so much better. Okay. Here's a way better way of approaching this. Is like, if it's the truth, it should hold up to scrutiny. But the leaders do not encourage their members to examine the truth claims of the religion. They don't encourage their members to investigate claims against them. They just say that all the claims made against them are wrong and from Satan and tricks. And I don't think a group that really had the truth would be telling their members to avoid criticism, because the criticism might be even more convincing than the truth itself. It's good. I just needed a assist from Mooney. That's a better take on the 1 minute stump speech, I think. Comfort movies. I'm going to just name a couple that come to mind that maybe I've watched recently. Okay. I had a weird instinct, so maybe this is becoming a comfort movie, but I had a weird instinct to watch Blackberry the other day. I had to fight it. We wanted to watch something new. But I watched that movie, and by golly, I loved it. So, like, I'm really into, like, the David Fincher movies, but specifically, like, the David Fincher, Trent Reznor combo ones, Social Network, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and Gone Girl are just, like, an astounding little saga of movies. They're all kind of dark, but they're all really funny. There's a lot of really funny parts in all those movies. And they're kind of like cold and atmospheric, and so there's something cozy about them. They're also like soundtracks that I listen to a lot. There's Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor soundtracks. So weirdly, Gone Girl is becoming a comfort movie to me. And along those lines, Blackberry was one that kind of is obviously trying to live in that space, but it was really good. It was just a really good version of that. So that I might throw that one on for comfort. Okay, but that's very recent, and I didn't rewatch for comfort, so maybe it failed the test. There's one that is really coming to mind that I can't. Oh, it's like on the tip of my tongue. Well, I love the movie Young Adult. Jason Reitman, he's got a new movie coming out. I'm gonna see it. I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I'm an SNL history nerd, SNL nerd, and Saturday Night is coming out. The movie adaptation, I think, of that book, Live from Saturday Night. Jason Reitman's directing it, and Jason Reitman has directed some of my favorite movies, like Juno and Up in the Air and Young Adults, and then he's also directed like Ghostbusters Afterlife and some other crap. So, but Young Adult is one. If you haven't seen that, it is about someone who is in a state of arrested development, who grew up but didn't really grow up, and realizes that there's more to adulthood now. Like, she is a YA author. She's a young adult author who is just like still living like she is, I don't know, an 11th grader, but she's like a grown woman. Charlize Theron's in it. It's amazing. And Patton Oswalt's in it, and he's amazing, and they should all get Oscars. And I don't know why, but I love rewatching that movie. I like thinking about comfort movies. There's all of the Oceans movies are super comforting to me. I love Oceans 11, 12, and 13. God, what do I like?
James Bond.
Yes. Shaken, not stirred. I'm like James Bond the Third. Mean Girls, obviously. Comedies, like all the Will Ferrell comedies, I guess. I don't know. Oh, Coen Brothers movies, like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou and Fargo are two that I rewatch a lot. It's weird because I actually haven't seen all of their movies, but I do rewatch those movies a lot. And recently, I've been rewatching a lot of scenes from Hail Caesar just over and over again. A lot of Spielberg's movies are comfort movies, like Close Encounters from the Third Kind is probably my favorite. Minority Report is the one that I will throw on the most, though. I love that. I never did see The Fabelmans, I'm just realizing. Holy shit. Okay.
Hamilton.
Oh, Hamilton. Holy shit. How have I not? Okay. Spoiler alert. My first video may also have something to do with Hamilton. Yeah, I watch Hamilton a lot. It's not healthy. It's not normal. Don't worry about it. It's fine. And In the Heights. I mostly have just been watching the songs from that last one. But I'll throw on the like Disney Plus Pro Shot version of Hamilton. Throw that in any old time. And then it goes without saying Star Wars. I rewatch all those quite a bit. Well, what we found out today is that I have autism, and that we have many generous and lovely people in the chat. Thank you so much for joining me. Kind of a chill ending to the stream, but I think that was good because I was really keyed up and stressed at the beginning. And, we can talk about creepy old blood stuff any old time. So stay tuned to the channel. I do have some uploads coming to the main feed. Do subscribe to the Sunday service feed and JW Poopcasting, because I'm going to upload silly stuff there. And we're going to... what the hell are we going to do? I don't know. There's got to be something to do. I think I might have to... Well, I'll condemn the fact that I didn't have anything to do.
Condemnation.
I have to condemn that. I mean, I should have prepared an intro and an outro. So this was an especially lazy stream, and I apologize for really, really dropping the ball there at the end. But I think we're going to go out with just a very simple voice of our Lord and Savior. Yeah. Yeah. Good. We love to see it. Goodbye, everybody.